So my co-host here, I did want to wish him a congratulations on
Yeah,
getting monetized
thank
recently
you.
on his own channel. You can always catch me there on Friday nights. We do last call with Troy Pacelli. But I
That's a
figure,
way of that's a way of saying I need to start getting a little more professional. I think. Uh, I mean, hell, I'm a complete fly by night operation. I just got a message from a dear friend of the channel saying you got a typo in your next thumbnail. I'm like, thanks. I mean, it's
I
kind of
hate to
like
break
telling you
this
you
to
got
you. They're
you got.
professionals that have typos. I've seen it. Like,
Well, that's true. I
okay.
mean, hell, so half the articles we cite we're like, who the hell edited this thing? But it is kind of like you get a message and it's good. I'm not saying I want people to point out when I've made a mistake so I can correct it. But it is kind of like when your friend points out you got toilet paper hanging from your shoe. I mean, it's like, well, thanks for telling me, but now I'm embarrassed.
But I figured, since I have him here now, I'm going to ask him an exclusive question on my stream.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to love to answer it, I'm sure. What do you think of the Acolyte, Star Wars: The Acolyte?
Well, I mean, full disclosure, I haven't seen it. I have absolutely
Okay,
zero interest in
that's a
seeing it.
cop out. What do you think of it?
I think it sucks. I mean, if you're going to push me, based on what I know of it, and what I know of it is based on their own official promos, what the news media has said, and what reviewers that I respect and believe have said. There's nothing there for me. I will not be
What
watching
will
it.
you do if the Force materializes as Leslie Headland?
I mean, honestly, Star Wars is a complete alternate universe since Disney took over. So it doesn't affect my Star Wars at all. This is all the Jake Skywalker universe.
Anyway, we're not going to talk about Star Wars tonight. We're not going to talk about Doctor Who. Let's not
You
get
mean
started on Doctor Who.
Dr. Her? No, Dr. Her is over. It's more like Dr. WTF.
Yeah, that sounds right. Welcome to Geeky Geezers, everybody. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
And here we are. We'll hopefully have some fun tonight. I got to tell you, Hollywood lately, I'm trying to find news worth talking about, and it's hard. It's all just. I have a
I mean,
suspicion.
most of it, and we're covering it, but a lot of it is about how badly the entertainment industry is doing, and how bad the box office has been.
Why didn't
I've
there were
got some.
movie? Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
that's coming up later in the stream, and I've got some things to say about it. I was talking a little bit with Big Al and some other people too behind the scenes. I'll let you know what we were. Nothing confidential or anything. Nobody will care that I'm sharing it.
All
But
right, cool.
some interesting insights, I think.
Hmm. He recently did a 10 word review for what was it? The Watchers.
Which, yes, I had told him last night. I said we talked about that last Sunday. I was looking forward to seeing his review on it to see what he thought about it.
It sounds like wait for streaming. I hate to say it. I don't
Well,
know.
that's kind of going back to exactly what I was saying about the box office, right? I'm
Uh,
I'm laughing because we all talk about AI generated art and stuff like that, and a lot of YouTubers are using it specifically because you don't have to worry about copyright. I mean, you definitely do not have to worry about copyright if you use something that's AI generated.
we were
There's
using AI generated images on your show Friday.
Yes, you were, and some of them I didn't even realize. You had
Yes,
to tell me that that's what they
they
were.
were all AI. Yes.
But I'm laughing because as I was getting some things up for the stream tonight, I see that about 20 minutes ago, WDW Pro put up a video. Mainstream media calls out Disney for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And the AI generated picture is a picture of Yoda laughing. And I'm like,
Well, that's funny.
man, that's really good. It's very clearly AI art because it's not in a style of anything that I've ever seen
Yes.
that's official. But
Stylus. Yes.
but honestly, it's good artwork. And I'm like, it just kind of tickles my heart to see Yoda laughing.
Yoda is just. I don't think he ever. He did the thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, Chris B. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, FKHC 2005. Welcome.
Sometimes known as Tim.
Tim. Okay. Welcome, Horizon Talker. Welcome, Matanui. I am here. Different browser. Buffering still happens. It's not as bad.
I am so sorry. I know you've been going through problems there, Matanui, but as you've been sharing about it, the feedback I think has been good because I know there's other people that have similar problems.
You know, I just realized I have a Panda Express fortune cookie here that I didn't eat or open last night.
Oh, well, why don't you open it now live on air and tell us what your fortune is?
Okay, well, first let's open it up. Little panda on the outside. What did I get last night? The lady talked me up on the honey walnut shrimp.
Ooh.
I got that, and I got the chicken teriyaki. I get the beef and broccoli, but it's really broccoli beef with a couple of little pieces of steak in it. I'm sorry, I'm being mean. And I'm looking on Reddit, and some guys complain, "What's with the beef and broccoli? There's no beef in it." It's like, you know,
yeah, I know.
All right.
Well, you could blame the administration for the way the economy is going. How's that?
Let's see here. Your laugh and enthusiasm inspire those around you.
There you go. I have to agree. It's creepy the way that cookie knows you. Now it's going to become part of you.
Like the crunching live on air, huh?
Now, I hate to ruin it for anybody, but, you know, the idea of a fortune cookie is not some ancient Asian wisdom or anything. It's actually an American invention, you know, just a gimmick. But I have heard that there is a tradition that has grown up around the fortune cookie that, because you know how the fortune cookie is shaped, you got to break it to get at the fortune. So you break it in half, and with the piece of paper slides into one piece or the other. So the one that's empty, then you eat it first. You have to eat the half of the cookie first because you are then accepting what you have not yet read, as your fortune.
What?
Yes, and then you break it open, and then you read the fortune, and then you eat the second half of the cookie to affirm that you accept what the cookie has said.
Good evening. Welcome to Pensac. Welcome, Troy Pacelli. Welcome, Netter of Netters Network. I get a hi, sweetie. Do you remember the line in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin as played by Ben Kingsley in that movie?
I don't remember fortune cookies as well.
He goes like this: "The fortune cookie is an American invention.
Oh,
like America, it's hollow, full of lies, and leaves a bad taste in your mouth."
That part is absolutely wrong because the whole idea behind the fortune cookie is just like so many things about, fortune telling in general is you say something that is so ambiguous that it's going to be true for anybody. So it's not full of lies. It's a little deceiving, but it's not a lie. And I personally love the taste of fortune cookies. In fact, Netter has said if I get her a recipe, she'll make them for me. I don't know how easy they are to make.
They remind me of ice cream cones, the sugar ice cream cones, actually.
Yeah, kind of like that. So we're gonna have to experiment with that, I think.
But it was just funny because he would make these videos. I guess they were supposed to be like anonymous style videos, and it was just. And he was like this Middle East. He's supposed to. Well, we find out later on he may not be as he appears, but like there are some people call me a teacher, and he's in the Middle East, and you see him shooting a bunch of guys, like that arena, and it's like the typical evil post-war on terror terrorist. Yes, just
Zootopia is welcome. By the way, Zootopia is kind of dating himself. Says next thing you're going to tell me is that Calgon isn't an ancient Chinese secret. The fact that you even remember that commercial means you're in the right place with Geeky Geezers.
Calgon, ancient Chinese secret. It's funny we're talking about products. I have seen the first two of the Acolyte. Have not regretted watching. Will continue. I hear it amps up in episode 3. I don't know. You notice we haven't talked about Star Wars on this channel in ages.
No,
not really. It's just because it's like, what's left to say?
Well, and I think I mentioned on a previous stream. I don't remember if it was yours or another stream. I'm on so many streams now. Talking with some of the bigger channels.
Yes.
Midnight's Edge and Valiant Renegade, Culture Casino, and even Doomcock. They all say that their Star Wars content is just not doing that well anymore.
No one cares.
No one cares.
Even they're not even cared to be outraged anymore. That's
they kind of feel like there's a logical progression, right? People are interested in it, they're loving it, so you put out the content, they will come to find out the news. People hate it and are outraged, they will come to watch the hate bait videos, and you'll do well. But then eventually they stop caring altogether, and it peters out. That is the point when you know that the IP holder has completely lost their audience. And
see, fires are nice, but they fires are
burn out.
They burn out, yes, and you burn the brand. Congratulations, Disney.
And I mean, look, we'll get more into that when we get to that point in the show.
But first, someone mentioned Calgon, right? Calgon, Take Me Away products.
Old products that we used to know and love, and then kind of get tired of, and then start to parody.
Is Netter with you right now? Just
yes, she is. Yeah,
because I might get her opinion on some of these if she wants. Wacky Packages. So what are Wacky Packages? They had them when I was growing up. I suspect that Troy had them when he was growing up.
Yes, I did.
These were put out by the Topps Company.
Yep.
And these were like these little sticker cards you would get, kind of like Garbage Pail Kids. And now the kids in the chat are going to say, "What's a Garbage Pail Kid?" We'll do that.
We talked about those before, didn't we? The Garbage Pail
Kids? I don't remember if we did Garbage Pail Kids. Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
Did we talk about Cabbage Patch Kids? Did I always threaten to talk about Cabbage Patch Kids on the stream?
I had thought we talked about Garbage Pail Kids, but
we might have.
Netter's saying for sure she remembers that we did.
Okay, we must have done a stream on Garbage Pail Kids. But this was the another card series Topps put out called Wacky Packages. Yeah. And the idea behind these took your favorite brands and twisted them a little bit.
Well, one other thing that you got to lay for the groundwork, just like the Garbage Pail Kids, there was this, and this may have always been, I don't know, but definitely in the late 70s, especially in the 80s, this was real big with kids, the gross out humor, right? So in the 80s, Nickelodeon was coming on with all the slime. Can't
do that on television.
Can't do that on television. It was earlier than that,
yeah.
but they did the slime too, and this whole idea. And then, all these kiddie type participation game shows where you'd get, food fight and, all kinds of mess. That kind of stuff was just big with kids. And look, it makes sense, right? Kids are into making messes, mud pies and, playing in the mud and stuff, whatever. And then gross out humor, right? Fart jokes and, boogers and, there was even lines of toys that operated with fart noises and snot coming out of the nose and stuff, and
of course.
So this was definitely playing into that. These wacky packages.
Speaking of typos, either the slideshow has a typo or Boomer got ahead of it by time traveling. I have no idea. Maybe it is. I will say this. I always get yelled at when I say join myself and PaPa Pacelli for Geeky Geezers. That's incorrect grammar. Join myself, and I don't care. I like the way it sounds. Okay. But Wacky Packages, look at this. Log Cave In. What? Syrup. I'm going to have to make this big so I can read a little fine print here. It'll bring down the house. You like that? And it looks like a little dude in a raccoon hat right there.
And he's drowning in the syrup, and his cabin has been. So this is obviously a parody of Log Cabin Syrup.
Yeah, Log Cabin Syrup. Yeah,
they did a great job with these because they're very cartoonish.
Yeah.
But at first glance, just a quick glance, Log Cabin Syrup, whatever. Oh, wait a minute, yeah.
This is a double take. These things are all about the double take. As a kid, you see these. I know. Wait, what? Like you see the familiar, but it's twisted. you know, and that's the gag on these cards. In fact,
the thing about these products is, I would love if I was, like a prop guy on a movie, because I've been watching a lot of videos Adam Savage's channel. He's been going to that place that does all the reproductions of products, and they look like products, but they're not using the actual brand names and trademarks, unless they will make exact replicas if they have product placement. If they don't, they go with an off-brand, or not an off-brand, but a parody brand. And I'm thinking I would want those parody brands to be like this. Log cave. You never see it when it's used in the film. You just think it was log cabin, but if you can freeze frame and zoom in, you'd be like, oh, log cave in.
That's funny. In fact, who did these? Was it Art Spiegelman? Is that his name?
I have no idea.
I think he might have done the artwork for that. I'm not sure. I love this. JLo instead of JLo. Grapevine flavor. Sing Sing's favorite dessert with metal file added. I'm sorry.
Grapevine is in Heard Through the Grapevine. Grapevine flavor, and there's a file sticking out of it, like based on the whole idea of
ridiculous
putting a file in a cake so that you could break out of prison.
It's just fun. Yeah. I always wonder if that ever happened once, and then it just got put in every TV show or cartoon.
Whether it literally happened, I don't know, but from knowing people and visiting people in prison, I understand how the prison system works, and I know they've had to over time increase security because people from outside try to get things to people in prison all the time.
If you ever want a great movie, it's Russell Crowe's in it. It's called The Next 3 Days, I think it's called. And basically the plot of it is it's about a husband trying to break his wife out of prison.
Interesting.
Because she basically got accused of a crime she didn't commit, and all the evidence is circumstantial, but she actually, I think we find it by the end, she is innocent, but he has to get her out of prison because he doesn't want to leave her in there because he knows she's innocent. I'm not going to leave my wife in there to rot. So it's a great film, and it's almost like a prison breakout movie, but it's from the opposite point of view. It's about breaking in to get somebody out. See, Hollywood makes good movies sometimes. That was an underrated flick that came out a few years back. But Harm & Hammer baking soda, great for refrigerators, bathrooms, and locker rooms. Look at that.
Harm & Hammer. Yeah, exactly.
What do we think?
Netter's got some insight for us here.
Yes.
The artists, the talents of such cartoonists and comic artists as Kim Deitch, George Evans, Drew Friedman, Bill Griffith, Jay Lynch, Norman Sanders, Art Spiegelman.
Okay.
There you go. Bob Stewart and Tom Sutton.
I'm thinking Mad Magazine types.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what this looks a lot reminds me of. A-Jerks.
A-Jerks, yeah. The Do Nothing Cleanser. You got to be a jerk to use it.
Oh, man, just awful.
Crust. Garlic flavor.
Brush teeth twice a month. Tuesday toothpaste tastes lousy. You want some crust toothpaste, Netter, huh?
Actually, garlic flavor it might not be so bad.
Let's not be disgusting. Okay. Weekies. Breakfast of chumps.
Breakfast of chumps, yeah.
Messy, untoasted, half-cooked flakes.
And what is it? General Foods, generally moldy.
That's funny. I'm sorry. General Mills, right? Yeah.
Or General Mills. I'm sorry.
General Mills. Yeah, that's all right. Kook-Aid. Instant soft drink mix-up. 2 quarts will drive you kooky.
And you should notice that these, and again, you've got to be of the right age because these products, which most of you are probably recognizing, these are the style of the products from back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes. And they've made newer cards since then. Like I think the last one they made was the mid 2000s, like that decade. But every so often they'll bring out a new set of Wacky Packages cards. You could actually get a book too that has a lot of these in it. Like the 70s ones, Topps would put out these trading card books that would have reproductions of the cards in the books. I did get some of those for this. Yeah. Captain Crud. Inside Real Pirate. Tastes cruddy even in milk. Oh, that's funny. I'm sorry. Plastered.
Well, because where did you usually have a bowl of peanuts? In the pub.
Favored by drinkers everywhere.
Whiskey flavor. Actually, man, That actually sounds really
Now you're
good.
thinking maybe some whiskey flavored peanuts ain't such a bad idea. Look at that. I love Mr. Peanut though, and he's saying hick. Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Let's move on. Mrs. Clean will
Yeah,
wipe up the floor with Mr. Clean if she can find it. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
exactly.
And you're a kid, and it's almost like this. I'm not gonna say this is necessarily adult humor, but maybe it's for kids who think maybe it is adult humor. I don't know. There's some messed up stuff here. I love this. Instead of dots,
Shots.
arsenal shots. Look at that, huh?
Little bullets. Yeah, actually, I think that's brilliant. By Arsenal.
If dots were smart, they'd put out a version of their candy
Right?
called shots, dot shots or something. I've had dots. They're still not. They're not bad. I get them on
Yeah, they're
Halloween
gumdrops.
time. They have ghosts.
Yeah.
They have ghost themed ones around Halloween. Bum checks. They bounce in the bank, forged by masters. Prison sentence with every box.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I used to love rice checks, corn checks, wheat checks.
Yeah, I
And
mean
what-
they were a big thing.
And what was their smart thing? They had recipes, whereas Rice Krispies had a recipe for your marshmallow Rice Krispie treats, right?
Yes.
Why do they do that? They get you to use more cereal. Well, Rice Chex came up with the brilliant idea of a recipe for Chex Mix
mix
for instead of potato chips or popcorn, you'd have Chex Mix at a party. But then you'd have to buy all the different flavors of Chex because you
need
needed
the wheat
a cup
checks
of
and
each.
the rice checks.
Yep, and the corn Chex.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know what's funny? When I was a kid, I loved doodads. You remember doodads at all?
That one I don't remember. No,
It was like a Chex Mix style mix, except it had like Cheez-It type pieces in it and like a rice Chex things. Then for one Christmas, I think my mom bought a bag of Chex Mix, like the store-bought kind. I fell in love immediately. It became my snack of choice for many years. And then what happened was this. They took it off the market for a period. And I was upset, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And I think I tried making my own Chex Mix, but I don't think I liked the way it turned out. Like, I think I did what you said, like, tried following with the recipe on the box. But,
and then they started mass producing it.
And now they brought it out again.
Aisle.
Yeah, now it used to be in a box, and later on it came out in a bag. But, yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Arg! Phew, coarse stench instead of cornstarch.
Yes.
You like
They
that?
used to
Free
have
clothes.
the flavor mix for the Chex Mix, and then you had to put it into like a half a cup or a cup of butter.
Yes.
And then pour it all over the top.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And it never coated right.
No, the way you had to do it was I remember it was one of those directions that you could take a couple different ways. What you needed to do was just put the plain butter over the cereal, then put, just like you would salt popcorn and mix it. That's how you would get the best flavor mixture.
Well, that's not what the directions said, and we never
Okay.
got good coverage.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of the directions aren't always right on these things. Yeah.
true.
Levirus instead of Listerine, or what brand is this making?
I don't. No, this is probably. Oh gosh, what was it? No, the only two that I really knew were Cepacol and Listerine.
Levoris.
Huh?
Levoris.
Levoris.
Might be
okay.
a dead brand. Maybe that's why you and I
A
don't
very
know it anymore.
short-lived mouthwash.
I
Okay.
see. That's why I
But
don't know this one. Yeah.
In mouthwash gurgle, more dentists recommend Levirus because it brings in
Apparently,
patience.
David Pensack knows it.
Okay, well there you go. Did you like that? That brings in the patience. Funny. That's
exactly.
That's horrible. Cram.
Like spam. Yeah, exactly.
No one will have to cram it down your throat to get you to eat it.
Yeah.
Look, his teeth are flying out.
Yeah, because she's jamming it in so
Is that
hard.
his
yeah.
mom or the lunch lady? What's going on?
Could
here?
be
This is
either
just-
way.
I'm just-
Guessing by the pearls, probably mom, but I guess.
Okay,
could be
yeah.
either way.
There we go. Fang.
Bang! Breakfast drink for vampires. And you notice that the orange color of it is a little skewed to the red.
Yep. Type A and Type O. That's
Yeah.
funny. Drink by the pint. This was a joke.
Well,
on
that's
it.
because the B and AB were more expensive. That was like the premium brand.
That's the premium stuff. Yeah. Ridiculous. Slaytex living gloves fits next perfectly. Yikes, that's a messed up one. See, this is the 70s, kids.
Yeah, this is you got to wear those rubber gloves if you're gonna commit any crimes,
You're
right?
gonna be a serial killer. Yeah, ridiculous. Look at that. Oh man.
Yeah, most of these they do still make, David. It's just like here we go, Dopey Whip. This was what?
Dole Whip?
Dole Whip, yeah.
Yes. Dessert topping used for all purposes. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if they still sell cards of this. I want to say because sometimes they'll re-release them too.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can get a Topps book of these too. I think you can still buy one. They do a lot of those Topps books. I have one for their Star Trek cards.
Sure.
And they'll give you extra cards with the pack. Like with the Star Trek cards, they had a card for Sulu as one of the bonus cards because said for whatever reason Sulu didn't get a card in the original pack, and they said that wasn't right. So they gave an official Topps card for Sulu with the.
So you'd have to get the book in order to get the if you
loose
wanted
cards.
To complete your collection. Yeah,
it's just
smart.
It was neat. Plus, you have a book now that you can look at instead of having to worry about taking your old cards out. Yeah. Instead of Kellogg's, Cool Off's All Brain, free antidote inside the cereal that goes to your head. You like that cereal, huh?
This would be good in conjunction with like a zombie themed kind of
like
deal.
a zombie breakfast. This
Yeah.
is like instead for zombies. You have Fang for vampires and Cool
Exactly.
All Brain for zombies. Milk foam brand dog toothbrush. I'm sorry. Make your pet. What does that say? Roam from foam? Foam for more? Maybe that's what it says. Give your dog the brush. See? You like that?
That is neat. Yeah.
Okay. Brittle soap pads. Make your hands tough. Removes grease, grime, and skin.
Okay. What was the original product? It was
Brillo.
Brillo. Right.
Yes.
Brillo pads. Right.
I'll say that's Steve Wool, though, you have to be careful with. I mean, that's not Brillo pads, but Steve Wool, watch out.
Yeah.
Be careful. Chock full of nuts and bolts coffee.
Nuts and bolts. Yeah.
You like that? Instead of chock full of nuts, that's funny. My dad used to have a can of this on the shelf, and I think he actually kept nuts and bolts in it because it was an old can, you know?
That's funny. Chock full of nuts.
Yeah.
And
bolts, yeah. Just drink some of that. Drowny.
Oh,
Titanic.
Oh, this is bad.
You'll never concentrate again. Oh, that's bad. Makes enough suds to flood the Empire State Building. Look at that.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, that's bad. Hungry Jerk. Extra heavy pancake mix. Buy it, stupid. Oh, by
look, they're so hard. They're breaking his plate, and his fork is bending trying to get into it.
Yeah, instead of Hungry Jack. Hungry Jack makes a good pancake mix, right?
I think so, sure. Yeah.
All right. Grave train dog food. Your dog will never eat anything else. That's just wrong.
It is funny, though. I do. There's a subtle little detail here. His tongue is lolling out, and it fits right along with the red stripe of the whatever, the floor.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It's funny. Boo-hoo, tear-flavored drinks. Drink it and weep.
Oh, Yoo-hoo. Okay, yeah. Which was a chocolate, basically it was a chocolate water. I never cared for Yoo-hoo.
Here's the thing with Yoo-hoo. I have had it. You got to get it cold.
Yeah.
But you're right. Why drink that when you
drink.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Well, it's I know. It was I've had it. I didn't hate it, but yeah, you're right. Kodak Color. Look at this.
I just feel like
ducks.
There's something that could be done with this in the modern day to reflect the whole duck lip selfie concept, you know? I don't know. There's a joke, it's a half-formed joke there. Take it and run with it, meme makers.
There you go. Instead of ragu, ragu.
Uncooked spaghetti sauce, yeah.
Because you have to reheat it when you get the ragu. So what the heck is in there?
Makes your stomach roar.
Ew. Tide detergent. Your clothes will be fit to be tied. Oh, that's funny. See, they're all tied. That looks like a newer one. I could be wrong. That
Could be,
maybe,
but
maybe.
Tide. I think it's spelled what? TIDE, the brand
Yes,
name.
and now it's Tide. Like
It's still it's a homophone, and yeah, you notice his
funny.
sheets are tied into knots. Yeah.
Funny. Gadzuka, annoy your teacher, chew bubblegum in class. Yeah, this apparently was a famous one right here.
Yeah.
This is. I'm sorry. Instead of Ronzoni, right? Isn't that what the brand?
Oh, that's right.
Run Tony, rub out.
I barely remember that brand. Yeah.
Run. I think they still make it. You can get like macaroni, but rub out protection shells, 38 caliber, preferred by leading gangsters in the underworld. Oh, that's so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, that's so bad.
Oh, I'm offended.
I know it's Italian, anti-Italian.
This is stereotyping.
Stereotyping Italian man. Everyone needs to chill out. I bet Italians found this funny when they saw that.
Absolutely.
Hipton tea bags gives you energy to loaf, hitchhike, and avoid work. This must be a very popular brand.
It's the whole hippie thing, yeah.
Yes, that's funny.
It's definitely an herbal tea, right?
Yes. Oh, beg or steal pack. That's so wrong.
Yeah.
See, back then, the humor out there, it wasn't just slanted one direction politically.
No, they got everybody.
Yeah. I love this sludge brick mix. Just one box builds a 2-story house instead of, what is it, brownie mix?
Yeah.
Betty Crocker fudge brownie mix. Just add cement. That's funny. I'm sorry. Achoo. Brand sneezing power wakes up tired noses. What is this? What is this making?
This is what is that? It's a brand name of MSG. What's it called? Accent brand. I don't remember what it's called, but it wakes up flavor or something like that.
Would you pour it on a steak or a chop or something before grilling it? That sort of thing.
Anything you want that umami flavor on. Exactly.
Right. Okay, monosodium gesundheit.
Gesundheit, yeah, instead of monosodium glutamate. Yeah.
Extra free hanky inside. That's funny. Oh, this is the last one. Topps, of course, put out trading cards of
they're
movies,
literally parodying themselves. Planet of the Grapes, and that is, because I used to, although I didn't get them, I used to see the cards for the Planet of the Apes. And yeah, that's a direct parody of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah.
Soggy picture cards inside with wine flavored bubble gum.
Yeah. So I used to, when I was a kid, I would say less than a quarter mile from my house, I used to ride my bike down to the center of Brookfield. Basically, there's this big turnabout, the 8 corners, and the first business that I passed on the left, it was right after the firehouse, was a candy store and soda fountain place called Manny and Babes. It was owned by a pair of brothers, and they sold these along with the Garbage Pail Kids and other Topps cards and stuff like that. Any of the collector's cards that came with bubblegum inside and stuff.
I remember.
But those stickers were a big seller of theirs, and I used to go in. I wouldn't collect them or anything. I'd get 1 or 2s, and what we would do is, it wasn't even just for collecting. It wasn't like a lot of the other cards where you wanted to collect them all. You wanted to have a nice sampling of them so that you could go to school with them and you could share them with your friends, and you'd all get a laugh out of it, and hopefully you had different ones than your friends did and whatnot.
You could trade them too if you had an extra.
You could trade them. If
you had 2 of one and a friend had 2 of one,
but you were definitely not trying to collect them all,
Right.
But then sometimes what you would do is they were stickers, and sometimes I'd see some of my buddies would have them on their books at school and stuff like that, and you get a little laugh in the middle of the day.
Exactly, it's some cool stuff. I miss Wacky Packages. Looks like
someone would be offended these days, so we can't have nice things anymore.
I don't know. I just looks like something from Mad Magazine.
Kinda.
And I think so too. It's kind of that Mad Humor. Mad Humor would have Mad Magazine. We'll have to talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But I remember they did They did a Rambo endorsing doing a bounty, or was it Stallone? Maybe it was just Rambo. It was Rambo doing a bounty, the quicker picker upper.
Yeah.
Remember the towels?
Yep.
And I think he blows someone's head off, and he says, "Oh, look, it sops up blood real nicely," stuff like that.
Right. Exactly.
Let's see there. It's a gag on the Looney Tunes scenes where Daffy is in jail and assumes Bugs brought a cake because he hit a key in it, but he didn't, and is pissed. Bugs just brought him a normal cake. That's funny.
Yep.
Remember on One Punch Man, when One Punch Man visits his friend in the hospital and brings some bananas. Oh, you didn't have to bring me bananas. And then One Punch Man starts eating them in front of him. Oh, you brought those for yourself to eat while you talk to me. Okay. It was just garlic flavored toothpaste. I cringe just thinking about it. I would try some. I pity the fool that uses Mrs. Clean. Yes, yeah, they still make Tang. They still make Tang, don't they? Tang will be the one thing that survives 2,000 years from now when the aliens are excavating us, right, or whatever. They'll find
Probably
Tang. Good choice on Wacky Packages. Thank you to Penzak. I've been meaning to do Wacky Packages. It's always been in the back burner of good old days. I'm like, at some point you got to do Wacky Packages, and then I think tonight was the night. But I did have a lot of fun with those cards. Like I said, I think you can still buy that book on like Amazon. It might be $10 or $15. I don't know. And you get like you get to look at all the different cards. I wish they would bring out one for Dinosaurs Attack. That was another top trading card series that I was a big fan of, which was sort of an 80s version of Mars Attacks, because that was the big one in the 60s.
Yeah.
Which Tim Burton made the movie off of. And they did release a book of all the Mars Attacks cards, but I wanted one for the Dinosaurs Attacks, and they still haven't put out a book on that one yet. Those are rather gruesome cards. Yeah, these cards were a lot about grossing out, like, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they were. That was, like I said, that was the shtick, you know.
Oh, here's your thumbnail. This is Geeky Geezers tonight. Let's get to it. We're already almost 40 minutes in.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Are you wasting the time talking about old trading cards, Troy?
I'll tell you what, because these fond memories are a lot more fun than, you know, some of the stuff we have to talk about tonight.
Some of this, I do have one good news on the gaming front. A remaster is coming out that looks pretty interesting. Let me bring up my notes, and we'll be good to go. Oh, I need to hook my mouse up, don't I? Don't mind me. I see you put a tear on De Niro's face there.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out how best to do that. I'm sure I could have done a better job, but it was late last night.
I like it. It's fine. It's funny. Okay. Here we go. Let me plug in the mouse, and we'll be good to go. Look at that. All right. We have some unfortunate in remembrances tonight. Quite a few of them, actually. Alan Scarf dies. Actor in Lethal Weapon 3 and Double Impact, was 77 years old.
Yeah.
Alan Scarf. Am I pronouncing his name right? Scarf, or is it Scarfe?
I think it's Scarfy.
Yeah, Scarfy. Best known for the films Lethal Weapon 3 and Double Impact, has died at 77. Scarfy died on April 28th from colon cancer at his home in Longueuil, Quebec, Canada, according to a recent obituary. Born in England, Scarfy's family moved to Canada. He attended the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art from 1964 to 1966, and then went on to appear in more than 100 roles in stage productions. Scarfy made his film debut in 1963's The Bitter Ash. Besides his film roles, he appeared in the TV series 7 Days and Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yes.
Scarfy received the Vancouver Film Critics Circle Honorary Award for Lifetime Achievement during his career. He was married to actress Barbara Neimarch for 40 years before her death in 2019. He is survived by daughter Tosia and son-in-law Austin, who acted as his caregivers in his later years. He is also survived by his brother Colin, son and actor Jonathan Scarfy, and grandchildren Kai and Hunter Scarfy. So, rest in peace. I take it you're familiar with this actor from TNG, right?
I am, absolutely. In fact, if you want to go ahead and bring up what I'm sharing there.
Yes, sure thing.
In the StreamYard. So this is the one of his roles. This was Admiral Tokath. This was the... this was one of his roles. He also played Yeah, he was big on playing Romulans. Mendak. My first memory of him, though, well, you know what? Let's go the other way with this. It only goes one way. My first memory of him was as Leo Cromwell in One Life to Live, and it's actually one of his earlier. If you look him up on IMDb, he's got. This is one of his earliest roles from the early '80s or mid '80s. Yeah. This was This is when I started watching One Life to Live, and it's such a complicated story. I won't get into it, but every time I would see this actor in anything else, and look at his IMDb, he's one of those character actors. He makes at least one appearance in just about every TV show, after this. I would go, oh, it's Leo Cromwell. Oh, it's Leo Cromwell, to the point that I never even really knew him as Alan Scarfy, Even when I'd see the Romulan cards in my Star Trek customizable card games, I'd go, oh, that's the Romulan Leo Cromwell.
There we go.
And then, I don't want you to think that he was only in Star Trek, because he also played the character of, yes, Drevny. I think it was Drevny was his name. He was like some kind of a priest. But yeah, he was not. I'm forgetting the actor's name. We just recently did an in remembrance of him as well. But yeah, so this is definitely an in remembrance for our community, Geeky Geezer, sort of character. Someone that you guys have probably seen in a lot of things. Yeah, Curtis Selby, Alien Nation. But,
It's sad to see him go, I guess. But I guess he had a good act. He had a good career. I mean, and you'd still enjoy him by watching
Nate
the old
is
stuff.
saying, F cancer. And, it's
horrible.
Absolutely true. What's ironic, they've been... My grandfather... when I was 16, my grandfather died from, it was lung cancer. We know exactly why he had lung cancer. But, they used to say, you never know. I mean,
No.
They're finding cures all the time and blah, 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 and this and that. And it's actually kind of true. There's a lot of forms of cancer that are highly treatable now since the early 80s, to the point that colon cancer is actually one that they're actually onto a cure. They're in testing phases for that we could be seeing within our lifetime.
Yeah, that's how I lost my own dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful. It's just I do hope they do cure it though.
Yep. It is a reasonably treatable form of cancer, but it's not a fun treatment. It involves oftentimes losing large sections of your colon and does all kinds of bad things to your digestive system.
He got through it once, but then later on it came back. Yeah. It's just awful. Lost another actor this week.
Yeah, another. What would you call it? Like a geek.
Yeah, no, well, definitely.
Character.
One of the most important aliens in a Star Wars.
This one is a real question of timing, because literally just this past Friday, we got an announcement in the toy community that Hasbro is doing their new HasLab. It just went live on Friday. Is for the Cantina playset, and one of the stretch goals is a new likeness of Greedo.
I'm kind of shocked that there was never a Cantina playset even back in the day.
There was.
Oh, okay.
In the early 70s. There was actually two. You
mean late 70s?
I'm sorry, late 70s. Yeah, I meant early 80s.
Okay, so they did make one, but this is a newer one. Okay.
It was with the second wave of figures that included, Greedo and Hammerhead and Walrus Man and all that. First, there was a cardboard display type of thing called I think they called it the Creature Cafe or something. It was an exclusive to Sears, and that was the famous one that came with the tall blue Snaggletooth. exclusively.
All right.
And then after that, the general market received the one with the orange plastic base and the all the there were two places. One where you could shoot Greedo and you'd flip the switch and it would make the figure in the first spot turn with his blaster and Greedo would go flying. And
so cool.
The other one was the lightsaber thing, so that you could have Obi-Wan cut down Walrus Man, and the doors popped open when you had the action figure step on the little button in front of it. It worked with a rubber band. It was actually kind of clever, but it was very, very loosey-goosey, so oftentimes the doors would just fly apart. And they reused the base and just changed the background for when they were when I think it was Kenner. It must have been Kenner because they had the rights to the set. They redid the for the Lone Ranger when the Legend of the Lone Ranger came out, and then they put out a bunch of other non-copyrighted public domain characters. And they turned it into a saloon. So yeah,
that's funny. Reappropriating.
Yeah, exactly. Because, well, let's face it. I mean, this was intended to be your Western in space, right down to Boba Fett having the sound of spurs when his feet, when he would take footfalls and whatnot. But yeah, Greedo is obviously the standout character from the cantina, and a lot of people don't realize. In fact, there are two figures that are stretch goals in this upcoming HasLab. The other one is like a four-armed alien that had like a silver suit and like a gas mask on or whatever. Also played by a female actress. So don't think that this idea of people playing different genders, or, not playing the same race or whatever. Because you know what? I got some news for you. All those aliens that you see in Star Wars, they weren't real aliens. They had human people play them against race.
Yeah, well, like I say, I do miss old school Star Wars. Let me go read the video bit. The remembrance. Star Wars franchise star Maria de Aragon has passed away. The actress was best known for playing Greedo in the original Star Wars movie released by director George Lucas in 1977. The announcement of de Aragon's death comes from her management company, Cool Water Productions, with a post shared on Instagram. It's revealed in the post that de Aragon died of natural causes in late April. She was 81 years old. Cool Water Productions LLC is sad to report our client, Ms. Maria de Aragon, the actress who helped bring the character of Greedo to life in Star Wars A New Hope, has passed away. The announcement post reads in part, she leaves behind her family in Canada. She passed away at a nursing home at the age of 81 in late April 2024 of natural causes. Our hearts are saddened and we wish her family the very best, and we thank all her Star Wars fans for years of support. The post also included the story of de Aragon playing Greedo. It's noted how George Lucas wasn't satisfied with the original footage shot with Paul Blake playing the Greedo character, which needed to seem more animated. That left having de Aragon take on the role of shoot close-ups of the character speaking during the more memorable scene in which Greedo is killed by Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Maria has expressed during many Q&A panels when asked, what do you think of Harrison Ford? She would respond, he kills me, with a laugh. Okay.
Yeah.
The famous scene led to the hand-shot first debate with Star Wars fans. Originally, Greedo was depicted as a bounty hunter hired by Jabba the Hutt to track down Han Solo, only to be killed when the latter shoots first. The later re-edits of the Star Wars movies changed the scene so that Han didn't shoot first, turning the killing into an act of self-defense. In the edited scene, Greedo shoots first at Han and misses, prompting Ford's character to fire back. Despite Lucas's good intention, changing the scenes has brought about many complaints from Star Wars fans who preferred the original version. It showed up on T-shirts.
Yeah.
De Aragon made her feature film debut in 1964 movie For Those Who Think Young. She also appeared in other films, including Nightmare in the Sun, Love Me Like I Do, Wonder Woman, excuse me,
Yeah.
The Cremators, Teenager, Where the Wind Dies, City on Fire, and Street Wars. Okay.
She's actually a very lovely woman. I mean,
Yes. So
you know.
I guess she was. I don't know. It sounds like she was like maybe a gang member or something in those. I don't know. I don't know.
But I'll tell you, yeah. I mean, rest in peace. You are very much beloved by fans, and we're so sorry that Disney McClunkied you.
The Acolyte should be titled Star Wars: The Last Straw because I'm done with Disney Star Wars.
Yeah, right?
I think. Every time you have people holding on, Disney, like all of us have a moment where we drop the thing we love, right?
Yeah.
Or we drop the modern incarnation of the thing we love.
Yeah.
Like I know with Doctor, I think I dropped out a little earlier than you did, but then you dropped off with Timeless Channel. Other people, they were sticking it out until this new version, and now they're dropping out. It's what you can take, right? What you can tolerate. Then you're done, I guess. I don't know. Richard M. Sherman, Mary Poppins, and It's a Small World songwriter dies at 95. This is the big one, I think, this week. I mean, they're all big. I'm not trying to discount the others, but Richard M. Sherman, two-time Oscar winner who collaborated with brother Robert B. Sherman on the songs for Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and the enduring Disneyland tune It's a Small World After All, died Saturday at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Beverly Hills due to age-related illness. He was 95. The Sherman brothers worked in a job that no longer exists, in-house songwriters for a studio. In their case, the studio was Disney, and the brothers were hired for that steady gig after their 1958 song Tall Paul was a hit for Mouseketeer Annette Funicello. I need to look that song up. You know that one?
Oh, sure.
Okay. In the early 1960s, they penned tunes for Haley Mills in the Disney films The Parent Trap. I remember those songs, actually. What is it? Something Together, yeah, if that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, these guys, you don't understand. These guys just, you tell I think the last person that I ever heard of that worked songs and music for, directors and writers by just them describing, a feel and a setting and whatnot, and then they just punch out a tune.
Yep.
The last one I can think of is Angelo Badalamenti working with David Lynch.
David Lynch, yeah.
But the Sherman brothers were just like that. He'd tell them what they wanted, and they just go to the piano, and they'd punch it out, and then he'd go, yeah, I love that. And then he'd come back and go, you know what? I want to go a different way with this. I want you to do this, and this. And then they bring it down and they do. They were just geniuses.
In the early, and they did a lot of stuff. Absent-Minded Professor, they did that. They wrote the Shermans wrote for the animated Sword in the Stone, which was a big hit. But their career really skyrocketed following year with Small World song debut at the New York World's Fair. In a boat ride past audio animatronic puppet children singing and spinning to the song continuously.
Yeah.
I get almost teary-eyed when I think of what they had in the 60s. They would have World's Fairs and they would have these attractions and things. We don't get that now.
Yeah.
Our tech guys are not like this anymore. Our industry people are not like this. They don't think this way, I guess. I don't know. You don't see Mark Zuckerberg coming up with anything like this.
That's for sure.
Also in 1964, the Shermans wrote for the songs for Mary Poppins, which was their biggest success. The brothers won Oscars for both of their nominations, for music score and for song Chim Chim Cheree.
Yeah.
The score also includes Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, A Spoonful of Sugar, and a song that was a personal favorite of Disney, Feed the Birds.
Yeah, I've got a quote here from Richard himself. Yes, Feed the Birds was Walt Disney's favorite song. Of it, Sherman said, and this is in his own words, quoted. You can hear him say this on the special edition album CD of Mary Poppins. He said, usually after the hectic week, Walt would ask us how we were doing, and we'd tell him we're working on it. Then he'd ask us to play it, and I'd sit down and play, and he'd look out the window and get wistful. Then he'd turn around and say, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. if you know the song talks about an old woman on the steps of the cathedral selling bags of crumbs for people to feed the birds. She asks those passing by to spend a tuppence, a few pennies, to feed the birds who took the bread back to their nests. Mr. Banks wanted the children to invest their pennies in the bank so it would grow, but Mary Poppins encouraged the children to invest their tuppence into charity and watch it grow differently.
Yeah, and there's that great scene in when the whole there's my favorite song, which was the Tuppence Banks song. Remember that?
Yes.
And
yes,
and then the old man takes their tuppence and said, "They're stealing my money," and then there's a run on the bank. Remember that? Exactly. Which, to be fair, the kids weren't wrong.
No, it's their money to do with as they please.
Yes.
It's a crucial moment for Mr. Banks, because this is his character growing.
Yes.
Right? Because he has dedicated himself and is completely sold out for the ideals of the bank.
Yes.
And when the bank turns its back on him over this incident, he realizes what's more important.
His family.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, May 2009, Disney released the documentary The Boys, Sherman Brothers Story, and later that year, the company released a Sherman Brothers songbook, a 2-CD set covering 42 years worth of their songs for the studio. Disney was fine during the aughts. I don't know what happened.
I know.
Most recently, Richard Sherman made a cameo in Once Upon a Studio, the 2020 live-action animated crossover short that celebrates 100 years of stories and magic at the Walt Disney Company. Iconic characters like Snow White, Peter Pan, and Robin Williams' Genie appear in a cast of 543 characters for more than 85 feature-length stories and films. In Once Upon a Studio, Richard Sherman plays Feed the Birds on the piano in a Walt Disney Burbank office. I'll have to see if I can find that somewhere. I might want to look at that, actually. I do have that documentary somewhere. It's I had the other 2 documentaries, but they didn't survive the flood. Disney put out 3 documentaries. One was called Waking Sleeping Beauty, about them coming back to animation in the 90s from where they were in the 70s. The other one was about Walt Disney's adventures in South America when he was trying to, make cultural inroads down there. I guess also to help with United States relations with South America. That's when he came up with the 2 bird characters that were hanging around with Donald. They were supposed to represent different nations, yeah. But and then there was this one about.
But everything Disney did was problematic. That was
of course.
All. Because he was a evil white male.
I don't get it. I mean, this is just.
Curtis asked a great question. When did Disney start to go wrong? After Walt's death, and after Roy didn't have any say anymore.
Yeah,
that's where it started.
Roy kept things at bay for a bit, and then it just kind of there was a guy who was in charge of Disney that was like a mentor to Eisner, who I think was actually a good egg. But then he died, and then Eisner took over, and Eisner kind of went out of control for a bit, remember? But Eisner was good working under this guy. He wasn't good heading the company. I think that's what was said. But anyway, that's it. But yeah, Disney Legends no longer with us, but they leave a legacy. Own physical media, so you can own their work. And now to modern Hollywood. Oh, wait, what's this? Waking Sleeping Beauty wasn't a Disney-made documentary. It was independent by own Dan Hughes. They distributed it, though. I can tell you that they distributed it. So maybe they bought it from the independent filmmaker, because this was an official Disney release. Yeah. It came from the code. Maybe it wasn't on its theatrical run, but when it was released on video, I think they did put it out. Remember, Tron didn't start out as a Disney production either. Eventually they funded it, but they were shopping that around to different studios, remember? That was not necessarily conceived in-house by Disney. What a disastrous summer box office.
Oh, Hollywood, you're talking like Avatar is technically a Disney film, but it didn't start out that way, and it isn't really a Disney film.
Yeah. Like him hating the movies under Eisner were fantastic. Some of them were, not the made-for-video sequels. But no, the theatrical stuff, even the lesser-liked theatrical stuff, like Emperor's New Groove, which I don't think gets enough respect,
Yeah.
and Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I thought those were great animated Disney features.
I think that marketing failed them.
Yeah.
And I'm even going to say this is a hot take, and this could also be because everything now is so bad it makes the past look better by comparison. But even the direct-to-DVD sequels that we all said sucked
Maybe they're not so bad if we go to watch them now.
are pretty inoffensive if you watch
Yes.
them right now.
You know, it's weird. I've been trying to catch up on the Beverly Hills Cop movies, right, as I gear up for the one coming out this summer. And I finally got around to rewatching Beverly Hills Cop 3 last night. And my opinion of it when I saw it back in the day was, this isn't nearly as good as the first two. No. I watch it now, and is it as good as the first two? Not necessarily, but is it bad? No.
Yeah.
It's actually, there's a lot of good stuff in there. I mean, if you're comparing it to the first two, but if you take it on its own merit, it's not a bad little action romp with Eddie Murphy.
Right.
And it has a lot of cool stuff in this amusement park where he's trying to take out the counterfeiters in this like Disneyland-esque amusement park. And I'm realizing it actually held up a lot better. And I'm wondering, does it hold up better because my standards have gotten so low because of what I've seen recently?
I think people need to change the way they think about films, okay? If you see a single film or you see a series like a trilogy or an ongoing series, you have a very different expectation, or you should, right? When you see, especially think sci-fi, right? If you see a sci-fi TV series, the pilot is always going to be blowing you away.
Yeah.
And then every episode thereafter, you're going to have some great ones, you're going to have some mediocre ones. That's the nature of a series. Well, if you want your franchise to become a series, you got to deal with the fact that not everything's going to be as good as the pilot episode.
Yeah, that's true. But moving on to this, are you trying to tag into this right here?
Oh, I wasn't saying specifically, but I guess it is a pretty good pivot, isn't it?
Here's what I've learned. There is a certain YouTuber that I'm not going to mention by name here, but he's a guy that I think is doing a lot of hate clickbaiting.
Yeah.
And he's been going off about all the 50-year-old men, and you're the one that made Furiosa fail. And I'm thinking, all of the YouTube critics that are critical of things out from Disney and things like that, they all liked Furiosa. They all said it was good and that you should see it. So I don't know who he's referring to.
You also have to consider how disingenuous that very concept is. Sure, you could blame every single human being who did not go see the movie. That's kind of the nature of a success or failure. But it's not their fault that they didn't go see it. You didn't make them want to go see it. It is your fault.
So a Hollywood movie can be two things at the same time. It can be a great piece of art and also a poor business decision. This is from the LA. This is an opinion piece from, I believe, the LA Times.
Yeah.
It often takes years to find out if the first designation applies. With the second, people know right away for the most part. Poor business decision. Furiosa, Mad Max saga is a commercial bomb. There's no way around it. The prequel opened to a disappointing $32 million during the long Memorial Day weekend. It's the second go-around. It dropped 59%, coming up third place behind Sony Pictures' animated The Garfield movie and Paramount Pictures' John Krasinski-directed hybrid, If. That's the one with Ryan Reynolds. Right. The George Miller-directed action thriller's box office tally of $50 million domestic, $114 million worldwide, so far on $168 million production budget is just plain bad, adding to the summer woes that have the movie distribution industry in a spiral of existential dread. Once again, the numbers of the theater chains are worrying. Overall, with May doing nothing to quell the trepidation that kicked off with the previous month and the sluggishness of The Fall Guy. According to David A. Gross's Franchise Read newsletter, a reliable source of level-headed box office analysis, May domestic grosses were down 43% from the average of 3 years before the pandemic. Ticket sales so far this year have fallen nearly 25% from the same period in 2023. So that means last year they were doing a lot better in May. The reasons for the decline are fairly straightforward. I tend to agree with Gross's perspective that for a variety of reasons, including production delays induced by last year's writers and actors strikes and a general pullback by cost-conscious studios, there haven't been enough movies, and the films that have been released aren't hitting in the way they need to be. The hollowed out release schedule is doing the expected damage. This past weekend had no new releases in the domestic top 5. This week, Sony will try to liven things up with Bad Boys Ride or Die. Moviegoing thrives on momentum and rhythm. One strong movie after another brings fans to the multiplex once or more per month, Gross wrote. Right now, the schedule is thin. Several big releases fell short, and the original stories are not breaking through, with the exception of If. It's also clear that there are broader structural issues at work. The combination of the pandemic, theater closures, the 6-month production disruption, and the age of post-streaming wars austerity has conspired to constrict the supply of studio films in theaters. But there's also the increasing consumer mind share taken up by streaming, video games, social media, and cheap, free, short-form online content. Add to that the entertainment giant's self-sabotaging strategy of shortening the theatrical window in a way that has trained at least some viewers to wait at home for anything other than a Barbenheimer-level cultural phenomenon. There's also the fact that consumer motivations have changed in a fundamental way for a number of people. If seeing a movie in theaters doesn't have any social media cachet, why bother paying a babysitter? But these issues don't explain the failure of Furiosa, which was fairly predictable. Prequels are a tough sell for audiences. How many prequels actually succeeded in recent years? Certainly not Solo, a Star Wars story. Paramount will again test the audience's appetite later this month with A Quiet Place Day 1, an extension of a successful horror franchise. By the way, maybe let's stop putting so-and-so story and saga in the movie's title for the time being. That formulation doesn't seem to be enticing people. Okay, the references in here is that Mad Max is in the title.
Yeah.
But there's no Mad Max in the movie.
True.
So maybe they just should have called it Furiosa.
True. People
who saw Fury Road know who Furiosa is, so you don't have to tack Mad Max onto it. Anyway, Furiosa struggles have inspired think pieces positing that Hollywood has fallen victim to its all sky-high, irrational box office expectations. My colleague Mary McNamara made such an argument, referring to the current situation as box office doom loop. My own reaction to the Furiosa performance is narrower and more basic. The movie just didn't work as a commercial product. As we've discussed previously, Mad Max Fury Road, which grossed $300 million globally, wasn't even that big of a hit in the first place, though its reputation has grown massively since its debut in 2015. So yes, betting on a prequel was a major gamble, banking on the hope that people outside of the core demographic of men over the age of 35 would care. Generally speaking, they didn't. A big budget bomb is undoubtedly bad news for Warner Brothers, but it says something about the state of the film business that the fate of Warner Brothers Discovery hinges more on whether David Zaslav can hold on to the NBA rights for TNT. So yes, film fans can be grateful that Furiosa exists and disappointed that it flopped. But while the film depicts the aftermath of a terrifying apocalypse, it isn't by itself necessarily a sign of one. So we have to wait and see, I guess, on that, Troy. But I really enjoyed this article. I need to give the author credit. I didn't do it by name. Yes.
Ryan Fogner?
Okay. Well, whatever your name is, you did a good job with this piece.
It's on screen. Anyone can read it.
Yes.
I've given you the link so that you can link and go read it yourself.
Okay.
And if you go to that link, you will notice that Ryan's name is a hyperlink. You can click on it and see, information about him and other things that he has done.
I'll admit these days it's hard to get me out to the theater when it used to be an activity I would do all the time. At least in the summer, I'd see a few movies. I don't know what's with me lately. I think I've just been very busy.
I can speak to it for there's two different aspects. As you get older, you take on more experience, you have more things you need to do. When you were a kid, especially in the summertime, you didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
You just got together with your friends. What do you guys want to do today? Oh, let's just hang out. Well, let's go to a movie. Let's go to the video arcade. Let's go to putter golf, whatever. But you were always looking for an inexpensive way to spend the day. And as theaters have gotten more and more and more and more expensive, that is no longer an option for kids looking to kill time. And it's becoming less and less an option for families with kids.
Fonder.
Huh?
The guy's name is Fonder.
Okay. I can't read. You can. You're smarter than I am.
Anyway, But here's the thing. I remember back. I think my peak movie going thing was when I was a. I mean, I would go during the aughts too. But I remember when I first was able to drive on my own. I could take me and my buddies. We'd go see a movie, and if I was in school, I got a student discount, or I had a part-time job, so I could afford to go. But even then, the movie ticket prices were not that awful,
Right.
compared to what they are now. I mean, you could get in. I don't think any ticket was over $10, even at peak hours.
Yeah,
You
and
could
it was
usually get
half
into
price
during a matinee.
and
Yes, during a matinee. So if you went during the day, because they figure fewer people are going during the day.
Exactly.
And I just don't know. Let's see. Let me see. Too Reason Furious. It was a prequel. Movies cost too much to make and watch. I want to make something else too. We're going to get into a recent article about this in a minute too. Mad Max movies out. Mad Max sounds like it could have worked.
See, and here's the funny thing.
Maybe.
This is another example of people making a franchise film without even understanding the franchise. I was thinking about what you said when you said it's a Mad Max movie without Mad Max in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. It's a Road Warrior movie without Mad Max in it. So what they needed to do was
Road Warrior
this
Furiosa.
Furiosa,
A Road Warrior movie,
Road
yes.
Warrior movie,
There
just
you go,
like
'cause
they
she's
did
the
with
Road Warrior.
Andor, a Star Wars film, and Solo, a Star Wars movie, and that's how you do it. What is the name of your franchise? If you've made it Mad Max, then you're a dumbass, right? If they did a spin-off of Rambo, you don't call it Rambo, whatever the character is. You call it a First Blood movie.
They made a movie in the Bourne series, the Jason Bourne series, with Bourne in the title, but Bourne wasn't in it. The one with Jeremy Renner, remember that one?
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. I'm like, wait a minute, I understand.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. They're naming these things after characters instead of the Road Warrior, because it is a Road Warrior universe, and that's what it should have been called.
Exactly.
And she's met Mad Max. She met Mad Max in Fury Road when she's older.
Right.
So, and they were probably going to do another movie with Mad Max as a follow-up to this, but now that's probably not going to happen. But
I think this movie had some other problems too, but I think that goes beyond the scope of this particular article.
Let's go to the next one real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time with the next one, but we'll. I still like the third movie the most. Yeah, I think Beyond Thunderdome is a good flick. I never had a problem with it.
Deleted Scenes was just talking about, he says, high ticket prices, poor advertising practices. That's something we've been talking about a lot lately, and how marketing is just sucked, and cross-marketing even worse. I was just on Pop's channel yesterday afternoon talking about Ghostbusters for Ghostbusters Day, and one of the things we were talking about was how both Ghostbusters 1 and 2, a big part of the marketing for it was the fact that they had hit songs that had videos on MTV.
There you go.
And that was
Always
direct
helps.
cross-marketing, right?
Always helps.
You don't have anything like that now.
They don't do that anymore. They did that. Remember,
No.
they really went overboard with like Batman Forever, but that had a whole album.
They piss, and that's the next part of what Deleted Scenes was talking about. They piss away their budget on who knows what, making the same movie 25 times and then effing around with it in editing, fix it in post, massive CG budget for crappy looking CG, and overpaying actors that don't deserve it in a lot of respects, right? Instead of, hey, let's put money into the marketing of a good soundtrack. And instead of putting all the money into this overpriced actor, let's put a bunch of money into a musical artist who's going to make a hit song to market this movie, and the two will take off together. No, they've lost that ability.
Remember the hit song for Beyond Thunderdome? We don't need another hero.
We don't need
That was
another
Tina
hero.
Turner. Tina Turner, right?
Absolutely. And talk about the right artist, right? Because she was big in the 80s, and my generation loved her, but she was big in the 60s and the 70s, and my mother loved her too. So you got two generations for the price of one.
She was in the movie as the adversary.
Yes, she
for Mad
was.
Max. But she was an interesting adversary because I guess when she lost, she had the opportunity where you just could have killed Mad Max for ruining her plans. So it's like, nah, I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting at the time.
Well, which made made her interesting. She was more complex, and it's not just the evil. I don't want to say mustache trolling because she's a woman, obviously, but you know what I'm saying, right?
But Sin's Corner, welcome to the chat.
Yes.
I still think I still like the third movie the most of them all, but the fourth one was enjoyable. I was not happy with it, which makes me happy. There was good stuff in Fury Road. I thought the villain was interesting.
Which I actually never saw, but
Here's what's fascinating. I think I might be getting his name wrong. Morton Joe, I think his name was. He had like this gas mask over his face. He looked awful, but when he was chasing after Furiosa, and I don't know if Mad Max was a prisoner at that point, but he's chasing after her or whatever, and he basically, I think he calls up all of the cars, all of the big, Mad Max style vehicles, right? All the weird vehicles. One of the cars had a big speaker system and a stage on it, and it had a like a heavy metal guitarist strapped to it that would have to play the guitar. So instead of him playing like a CD and blaring it, he had an actual musician on one of the
exactly
going forward, which I thought was funny.
And the other thing too is, a lot of and I don't know how many, but I'm sure there were some that said it's not a Mad Max film if you don't have what's his name? The one that played Mad Max.
Tom Hardy or Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson. If you don't have Mel Gibson and it's not, and I'm like, you can say it if you want. I say it's not a Mad Max film if you don't have Vernon Wells in it. Right. So screw you.
10 reasons Furiosa underperformed at the box office, so we'll get into that. Sin's Corner was talking about the Bad Boys. Okay.
Okay.
I've never actually seen one of the Bad Boys movies. Maybe that'll be my summer series to watch, because I somehow missed out.
You know why you have to see Bad Boys? Because what you going to do when they come for you?
Yes.
Sorry.
Bad Boys 3, the third one, though. Why was that one significant? Do you remember? Because it was the big hit movie, and then the pandemic happened. So it was like the last hit movie. I was making a joke on our early streams here that, like, is Bad Boys 3 going to be up for a Best Picture? Because it's the only one of the few movies that got released this year, that and Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what I was thinking. But Sin hates Mad Max. Okay, well, that's fine. But I'll say people that like Mad Max like this movie. They all gave it good reporting. They said it was fun. And this article gives 10 reasons.
I will admit that I did not do my homework. I didn't read this article.
You don't have to read every article. Half the time I don't read them. I'm sorry, wait.
My expectation is that given the outlet of this one, I'm guessing that this is just a whole bunch of copium. That's my guess.
I'm just going to read the headlines. I'm not going to go into full details unless you think it's significant. Number 10 is the Mad Max franchise has never been a truly huge box office draw. I don't remember how the Road Warrior movies did back in the 80s, but I do know that I don't think they had huge budgets, right? I mean, they had healthy budgets, but they weren't, especially that first Mad Max.
The first
the one
Road
before
Warrior
the nuclear fallout
was a shoestring budget. Let's face it. What's his name? Mel Gibson. Nobody knew who he was at the time. Yeah. So you could get away with very, very low budgets on that movie.
Number 9, movie prequels often underperform at the box office.
And wait a minute. One other thing I wanted to say about that is that these franchise films, if you say franchise films, you ought to automatically understand niche audience. This is the biggest problem I see with these studios and these franchise films. Not understanding. You are not ever going to appeal to a broad audience. If you don't appeal to your core audience, you will appeal to no audience. If you appeal to your core audience, you may bring in their dates, their kids, their friends, but if you don't, you will get nobody. That is bearing itself out over and over and over again. This is a big part of the problem with the whole modern audience thing. No, there is no modern audience. There is just the audience, and you need to understand them, and you clearly don't.
So movie prequels often underperform at the box office? Why do they keep making them then?
This is again the studios and the execs being unable to learn. It's what is it, the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Prequels don't do well. Why don't prequels do well? Because we already know the story, and the only thing you could do is make it worse than our own imaginations, right? I'm sorry, George, but you kind of already told us the story of the prequel. We had the prequel trilogy in our heads from lines in the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. By going back and filling in your idea of it, you stepped all over what we already had in our heads, and you there was a net zero there. You didn't. Well, I take that back. That's actually a bad example, because that was an example of someone actually bringing in a new audience. I've told this story many times myself. I didn't care for the prequels, but my buddy's kids loved it.
Them. Okay.
And have kind of brought me around a little bit to liking it a little bit more. That's the outlying example. Most of these prequels, you're not going to kill off the main character because we know they live into the next movie, you know? Yeah. So where's the stakes?
Well, yeah. I mean, in this one,
we know Andor is never going to die because he dies in Rogue One.
But the thing is that Furiosa survives Fury Road. You know, she wins the day, so maybe they didn't.
And if this is a prequel to that, you know that there's no she's never in any danger ever.
I like the lead actress. I like Anya Taylor-Joy. Chris Hemsworth is in this as one of the villains, and I heard he's very good at hamming it up. I just
yeah, he has gotten very, very good at playing the cuck.
I don't know if I want to know what that's a reference to, but
he is very good at playing the big, good-looking guy who wimps out to make the woman look better.
Well, in this one, he's the villain. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen it. From what I heard, though,
I'm so glad his wife is in it, because she was able to play two different roles. I mean, I don't know why she didn't just play every female role, and maybe even some of the male roles.
Well, anyway, from what I heard, this is not a girl boss movie, even though it has a female lead in it. Okay,
it's kind of, if you pay attention to the behind the scenes, it's a girl boss film behind the scenes.
Well, okay. I don't know. I didn't see the behind the scenes. Anyway, not a 4-quadrant movie. That means no males.
Yeah, I'm not talking about in the movie itself, Sin, because I never saw the movie. I'm talking about him himself in real life and the production of this film.
All right. Anyway, males under 25, females under 25, males over 25, females over 25. It didn't hit the 4-quadrant mark. That's what this says.
Yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road came out 9 years ago. This I actually agree with. This is losing momentum. You had momentum that you built off Fury Road. So what do? You wait 9 years to make a prequel or sequel. What are you doing?
It is a cornerstone of business. It's the mantra: strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah, I'm upset with the Mission Impossible movie not getting last year's Dead Reckoning not getting its part 2, which was supposed to come out this summer, and I guess the strikes kicked that down the road. But it really needed to come out the following year, because it's like how Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, they were kind of near each other. Lord of the Rings trilogy near each other. You kind of needed to bring that one out soon, but we'll see if that hurts them. Furiosa stars aren't necessarily the box office draw. Well, I don't know. I respect Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she's a far more poised actress in interviews than I've seen with a lot of the other young starlets, so I've nothing against her. Furiosa is the kind of movie that relies on good word of mouth. I did like what the last article said, that what movies used to rely on was momentum. Like, you get the first big hit of the summer. I remember years back in, what was it, 93, it was Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So you go see Jurassic Park, and then you're jazzed up for that, and you might go see that again, but then you might be willing to go see another movie. Right. And another movie, because you're excited about movies, because you saw a great movie.
And
if
in
nobody's
fact,
jazzed up,
I would even argue that what we now have in cinema is the exact opposite. We are out of the momentum of going to movies. They need to prime that pump somehow. They need to get us in the theater to get us jazzed
To get
and
us
want
excited.
to go back for the next movie.
You know what could have gotten me jazzed? How about a really cool new Indiana Jones movie with the right actor, I guess, replacing Harrison Ford, set it in period, and just make it as good as you can make it. That might have been nice.
Yeah, same with
What
James
can you
Bond.
do? Maybe a nice James Bond movie for a change instead of something that goes on for nearly 3 hours. And then let's not that we'll save that for the next
Yeah.
Bond stream with Michael French.
Yeah.
Furiosa had to compete with Garfield. Okay.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of crossover
Cross
there.
audience with an R-rated Road Warrior movie and
Yeah.
about a cartoon cat.
That's a copium one. That's just bullshit.
3 audiences know Furiosa probably won't take that long to release on video on demand. I agree with that. People are now used to waiting. The Fall Guy was already out, I think, on demand when Furiosa was in theaters. I'm like, wait a minute, how is that available to purchase now at home now?
We
This
have
just
talked
came
about
out.
this many times, but everybody who's been critical of the whole streaming model has said this. They're cannibalizing their own profits. They are not keeping these things in theaters long enough. They are not making the money that they should be then off of licensing and then off of physical media before they dump it into the non-revenue generating streaming services.
Yeah. Well, yeah, unless
What was BB4?
Oh wait.
Bad Boys 4.
Bad Boys 4 this weekend. It was initially expected to make 40 million in less than 400 million worldwide, but ended up 56 domestic. I hate to say this. I think it also may prove Will Smith is still a movie star.
Well, and Sin, I'd love to know Sin's opinion of this. Again, I'm not, that's not my particular film series, but I wonder what you think, Sin, of the idea that there's an audience out there that just wants to love film again and is looking for anything that might be good and get a good word of mouth and then go, I'll go to the theater then and see that because someone said it was good.
Because you want to be in on the moment. You don't want to be, it's... Matt makes Beyond Thunderdome was at a big box office hit. The first Road Warrior became a cult classic. It was not a huge box office success, making the bulk of its money from VHS sales. Yeah, remember home video sales? That including rentals.
We were recently talking about how many films either barely broke even or flopped in their original release and then were discovered either on cable or, well, usually on cable. And then the video sales went through the roof. And the video sales were so good, it then merited them doing a sequel.
Fall Guy was digital in 19 days.
19 days? That's flipping ridiculous.
I don't
care if it was a complete flop. You wait on that. And then you put it out on DVD and make some money off of that. And then you license it to another company and make some money off of that. You put it on
It's
stream.
not going to help Fall Guy, really, just to release it quickly. And it hurts your future movies the studio is releasing because people get expected to be created today. Yeah, everyone's saying this. Quick mode and the incentive to go to theaters. They're going to wait for it to come at home. It's not long. No FOMO, or FOL. Yeah, fear of missing out. There isn't because you can just watch it. I felt like Dune was released pretty quickly on home video too, even though that was a big hit.
Just going back to what Deleted Scene said, 19 days. Holy crap! It used to be films were out longer than 19 days. You say to
6 months
me,
usually.
Have you seen Fall Guy? I haven't had a chance. I'll go see it in a couple weeks. In a couple weeks, it's actually on frickin' stream.
That'll be another topic. Who was the Fall Guy the audience for? Did I get through this whole thing? We should probably move on. Popular Furiosa was based more on Charlize Theron's performance than the actual character. Maybe people liked her performance. I think Anya Taylor-Joy, though, was a good pick for a younger Furiosa. Out of all modern younger actresses, I think she's... I don't know. I've liked her when I've seen her in. Furiosa's box office struggles are bigger than just the Mad Max prequel. Furiosa struggles like the changing movie market. Furiosa's box office underperform isn't an isolated incident. Box office receipts have been drastically down in general. Madam Web, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, Arthur the King, Fall Guy. What is Arthur the King? Oh, was that Shyamalan movie where it was King Arthur's like a reincarnated or something?
I have
that
no
I didn't bother
idea.
watching.
I
don't know what that is. Let's move on. 6 months to a year is more used to be like the wait time back in the Jurassic Park age. Usually a summer movie would come out on VHS sometime in the fall because they either want people renting it over the Christmas holidays or maybe you could actually buy it. It just depended on the movie, though, because some movies wouldn't. You're right. They would take a lot longer.
Right.
Like, I think Disney animated features took forever to come out on VHS. Like, I think Aladdin came out in the fall of one year and then didn't come out until the fall of the following year,
Yeah.
if memory serves. It because they probably had legs in the theaters, and yeah.
You
And
know,
this is
actually, you just made me think of something else, Boomer.
Mhm.
I had mentioned the direct to DVD sequels, and I wonder if anyone's ever done the research on this. I wonder how many times putting out a direct to DVD sequel for a Disney, franchise boosted the sales of DVDs for the original then.
Probably.
I mean, that's good marketing too, even if, the sequel DVD gets, bad press.
I just remember they did a Cinderella Happily Ever After something like. There's no sequel to Happily Ever After. That's the end.
Well, yeah. Well, no, wasn't it a time travel thing where
Maybe.
the villain character wanted to undo the happily ever after?
What the wicked stepmother? She.
Right.
Okay, that might be. I don't know. I never saw it. That might be a thing.
That's actually, I think, a clever way, because you're right. Happily ever after, cuts it off, unless there's a little time travel timey-wimey.
Of course. Kevin Costner's $100 million Horizon movie tracking for a worrisome $12 million domestic opening. The box office prospect for one of the summer's biggest swings have appeared on the horizon. Kevin Costner's big budget Horizon, an American Saga Chapter 1 hitting tracking on Tuesday with one major service putting it on domestic opening at $12 million. So keep in mind, this movie has not been released yet. But that's not great news for Costner and those backing an independently financed Western, considering it costs $100 million to make before marketing, and being followed quickly by Horizon and American Saga Chapter 2 on August 6th. How long is this movie?
I have no idea.
It's funny, over in Germany, they would try this with some of their movies. Like, instead of having an epic 4-hour movie, they would let you see the part one night, and the idea was you'd go see the part 2 another night of the week. Like, they'd have both parts in theaters at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yep.
They did that with the Fritz Lang double feature that was very, that was like a part 1 and a part 2, called the, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
The one with Deborah Paget doing the dance. Anyway.
I like that. That's the one. That's the part you remember. Yeah.
I understand why Elvis Presley and Howard Hughes vied for her affections.
Oh, yeah.
Just say that. Warner Brothers is only handling the film domestically and has 3 weeks left to make a major marketing push. Oh, we're relying on Warner Brothers to push the marketing on this.
Well, yeah.
Paramount's Prequel Quiet Place Day 1 also came on tracking Thursday and looks easily scare off Horizon up in the top chart of a decent $40 million. So this is just predicting. I think we'll move on because we got a lot to cover tonight. But what do you think, though? This is kind of scary, though, that this is a part 1 and a part 2 movie in the same summer. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's kind of ill-advised. You do end up. I feel. That you kind of cannibalize your own profit margin. I think this kind of falls in with what we were just talking about, not giving a film enough time to make its profit and become popular. And, yes, we also mentioned you can have too long, strike while the iron is hot, but also you don't dump all your fuel into the fire up front.
I might have done this as like maybe a summer release for this and maybe like a November release for part 2. I mean, maybe that's what
I think that still would be too soon. I think a year's separation. Look at the examples that we have. The first one I can think of is Back to the Future 2 and 3, which was they filmed them together. They released one year, and then 1 year later, the other one came out. And then the other was the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where, if I remember correctly, we got a movie a year, right?
Really?
I think so. I think somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that a lot of those were filmed together and they started releasing them and getting them out and they went boom, boom, and boom. But that's a full year. I mean, if it can stay in the theater for a year, great. If not, you've only got a number of months till the next movie comes out. That's how you do it.
Horizon Chapter 1, 181 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, that's not a an obnoxiously long amount of time.
You know what? Maybe I should just go
These
see
days.
this. Maybe I should just go see this and see for myself.
And honestly,
It's probably not going to be woke. It's Costner. He knows
want
at
to
least how
s-
to make a good Western. I think maybe.
and there's the key. I like Westerns too, and I
Yes.
wish that Westerns would have a chance to come back.
know
I
what?
want it to have the best chance possible, and I don't feel like they're
We
they're
should all
marketing
go
this way.
see this. That's an idea. Just make sure you bring an empty bottle into the theater with you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
Anyway.
bring a full bottle with you that you can, then use the empty bottle later
I
in the
see.
movie.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, I don't know though. I'm always picking on, like, I'm being the guy that picks on, is this movie going to do well? Is it not? And I'm like, is it any good?
Yeah.
I mean,
In fairness, I think Costner has had really bad luck with making movies, right?
he had a big hit with Yellowstone though, and that sort of kicked off his career again because of Yellowstone, and which is basically a modern Western TV series. So
True. But as far as movies go, I mean, we got what? Isn't he the one that did Waterworld?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was his own Mad Max style movie, I guess, right? That was a Road Warrior movie. There you go. Except
That
was
was
the
a
opposite.
Water Warrior movie, is what that was. Yeah.
You know, I have the Blu-ray of that somewhere because a friend of mine got a screener, got a screener Blu-ray of it and gave it to me. So
Okay,
I need to
cool.
watch it one of these days.
Yeah.
Here we go. Good news, game fans, video game fans, I think, or fans of the thing, or maybe both. Switching gears now.
Yep.
Okay, gentlemen, we are not. We are not The Rock. Talk about the movie The Rock. I finally saw that a couple of years ago. I'd never seen that. But remind me when we do Bond Part 2, I'll stick The Rock in there as an unofficial Bond movie to drive Michael French insane. I'm kidding. Hey, The Thing Remastered is the next revival from Night Dive
That would
Studios.
be so funny if you do like your little slideshow thing, and then the next slide is The Rock.
I'll just
and
do it and see his reaction. He's probably not listening
no,
right now.
no, and then he just leaves
He'll
the
get
stream or something.
mad. He'll get angry. What's wrong? This was like a what if the Connery Bond had been put in Alcatraz prison, by a trumped up charge, and it's him, and they don't say what his name is, but I'm assuming it's Bond, right?
Right.
He'll get so mad because
I don't think it was Ramirez.
they were sort of playing fast and loose, like you're kind of thinking, is this supposed to be the Connery James Bond? Anyway. Okay, remember The Thing, not the cult classic John Carpenter horror movie from 1982, but the video game continuation from 2002. Well, it's coming back courtesy of remaster specialist Night Dive Studios. Announced today at IGN Live, Night Dive, whose revivals of Star Wars, Dark Forces, and System Shock have won plaudits from retro video game fans, is now making The Thing remastered for PC and consoles in collaboration with Universal Products and Experiences. It's due out digitally on PC via Steam, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch later in 2024. So basically, if you own last gen or current gen, you're set. And if you own PC, you're set. The Thing video game is a third-person survival horror shooter game that continued the story of the Kurt Russell film. Here's the official blurb. In the frozen Arctic tundra, a mysterious shape-shifting alien has wiped out the crew of the U.S. Outpost Number 31 research facility. In The Thing Remastered, players step into the boots of Captain J.F. Blake, the leader of the United States Army Special Forces rescue team, sent to investigate the blood-curdling events that transpired in the original The Thing film. Trapped by the elements and at risk of infection by a horrible entity, Blake must keep his squad together to survive by gaining their trust and ensuring that their fear and paranoia don't get the best of them or himself. So I think like in this, they find the McReady tapes and listen to them, because they don't know what happened here either. So this is like post The Thing movie, and they're going to investigate. And this is a survival horror game, which makes sense that it was done in that style. The remaster is an upgraded version designed to run on current generation systems, up to a 4K resolution and 120 frames per second on a PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. They've made improvements to character models, textures, and animations with the implementation of advanced 3D rendering for updated lighting and atmospheric effects. There are trophies and achievements on PC via Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox console. Many of us at Night Dive Studios are ardent fans of the horror genres. So it's been an incredible honor to work within the world of the iconic The Thing, said Larry Cooperman, Night Dive Studio Directors of Business Development. In 1980, the 1982 film was a masterpiece and truly one of the most impactful pieces of art in the horror genre. With The Thing remastered, we're honoring that legacy in computer artwork's incredible game inspired by the story that expanded the lore. So yeah, I remember I do own this game. I got it on PlayStation 2, but I was a late PS2 adopter, so I didn't get to play it too much. But it's basically a survival horror game set in the Thing movie universe. So I think this will be a hit. I'm looking forward to picking this up. I don't know what console I'll pick it up on yet, but I know Night Dive usually does a good job. Whatever they port it to, they're not going to half-ass it. They usually try to make it as good as it can run on whatever console you own. So,
and since there's no female characters and it's set in a cold environment, they won't uglify any of the characters.
Well, no, and to be well, that'll be a thing to the next. Yeah, The Rock was quite fun. You can never go wrong with Nick Cage. Thank you, Mr. Matchstick. I forgot Nick Cage was in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh, I gotta be right back. I guess Troy will be right back.
I was gone and back. I figured, well, we'll see if he even notices I'm gone.
No, but this is a classic, and you can pick up a remastered version of this, and it's what Night Dive Studios does. I got their Dark Forces remastered. It's not just about making the old graphics look as good as they can. They're actually going back and redoing some things and making the game look even nicer. Sometimes they'll, like with Dark Forces, they allow you to switch back to the even older graphics. So if you want to see what it used to look like on a modern thing. But I actually highly recommend the Dark Forces remaster. That was the best Star Wars related anything this year.
With so many of these games,
there's a ton of things they can remaster now. Yeah,
exactly, and so many games that are popular enough that people want them to be remastered. Yeah. I wonder if some of these good game designers are thinking that through as they make the games and going, how can we make this so that it will be easily portable to, future, models and, things we can do with them and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Especially as they're doing these remasters and looking back and the problems they run into, how can we avoid those going forward?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because this game I never expected to get a re-release again. This was what do you call it? This was a sixth generation game based on a movie license. Odds of this thing ever getting released again were slim, but look, here it is. So I'll definitely be picking it up. Hopefully they remaster. I'd like it if they put Night Dive in charge of remastering the Rockstar games Game of the Warriors.
I think you're going to
remaster of that.
I think you are going to find that, given what we've been talking about with Hollywood's implosion and revenues being down and so forth, I think you're going to find these studios being way more open to the idea of renewing licenses. You want to make a game based on a movie that isn't making us any money right now? Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to see Night Dive remaster some more point-and-click adventure games too. I know they did the Blade Runner game, but I'd like to see them do like Gabriel Knight and stuff like that.
Do you think that, in quotes, modern gamers would be into point-and-click games like we were?
I think so. I think it's worth a risk. Here's why. I think a lot of as long as you can make it work with a controller, or at least have the option of hooking up a keyboard. I wonder if they could, if you were to remaster them and you have these live actors. Here's what it is. I think it's time that you can try it and do an experiment and see if it'll work. Like try remastering.
I have this vision. It could be what it would really be is what I think they always intended. Maybe not the original point and clicks, but like I talked about the Klingon, Star Trek Klingon.
Yeah, the ones that had actual actors in them, and
they literally intended them to be like being like a choose your own adventure movie or episode.
Yes, I agree. I know what you're talking about. Like Phantasmagoria had that too.
Phantasmagoria was a great one. Exactly.
You should. I think if you remaster those, clean them up, but use the original footage of the actors and everything, and clean them up. I think people would be open to spending like $20 on. But a lot of games are cerebral now. Like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has some tough physics puzzles that I've been playing. I think people are now used to tough puzzles in games.
Exactly.
I think it's worth a risk. Yeah.
And thinking through, it's more story driven and less, do I have enough ammunition to take out this monster, or oh, am I fast enough, and can I do the shoot, jump, spin, move, or whatever.
Well, that's some games. But games like Resident Evil would have puzzles like you would see in those point-click adventure games mixed in with killing the zombies and things like that.
True.
But I think you could maybe remaster some of these old point-clicks, at least some of the later ones that had actors like Christopher Walken was in one of them. Paul Giamatti were in one of those games. I'd love to get a chance to play that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of these video games where the actors, big name actors, were in them, and I think a lot of them were just, I'm just voice acting. Sometimes it was, I can get I can do all my shots in one day and get paid for it. Yeah, why not?
So we got to move on to the next thing because we're. Is this Silent Hill? Oh, this is Rocksteady. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were segueing a minute ago or not. Okay.
No, I wasn't intentionally, actually. I had forgotten what we had
Here, I'll just read the headline for this one. I don't know how much time I got to spend on this. Let's see.
Yeah.
Rocksteady reportedly looking to recover from its Suicide Squad ordeal by returning to its roots, a new single-player game. Rocksteady might be planning to bounce back from its suffering action-adventure shooter Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League with a new single-player pitch. The game would really return Rocksteady to its roots, Bloomberg writer Jason Schreier says in the June 6th report. Investment analyst Doug Kreutz later tells Bloomberg that I think Rocksteady will definitely get another at-bat with publisher Warner Brothers Games, hopefully with something more aligned with their demonstrated talents. Well, from what I had heard, a lot of the talent at Rocksteady left and formed an independent studio. So I don't know what they're talking about here.
Well, here's the other thing,
I think a lot of them left before the Kill the Justice League came out, so I don't know who they're talking about.
Getting back
it's a name. You need the programmers that made the games to make your game.
Getting back to their roots with a single-player game is totally missing the point of why Kill the Justice League did poorly.
Yeah, also maybe don't kill the Justice League and humiliate the Justice League. Do not humiliate your DC characters.
Yeah, maybe learn that when people say get woke, go broke, they actually mean it, and it actually plays out. And if you pay attention to the games that are losing money, they're the ones you went woke on, you dumbasses.
You know what I would think would be really cool? They'll never do it, but if they were to do a Batman Arkham Asylum style game, but do it based on the 1980s run of the Teen Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Because they've not really done a lot with the Titans in games.
Do you know what they really should do?
And you could play as the different characters, or maybe even choose your Titan to play as for the game, and you could go back and play as a different Titan in another run.
What they should really do is they should completely go a different route. They should go using the same game engine, right? A parody of the Arkham Asylum using a Batman character based on the Adam West. Make
That'd
it
be
humorous. Funny. Wouldn't it be? I think people would love it.
I'd play. I'd love it if they. Too bad Adam West is no longer with us. I could have gotten him to voice it.
And you definitely bring in the Burt Ward Robin and stuff.
Yeah.
And, because as a playable character, right? Or even the Barbara Gordon Batgirl and stuff. And
I could dig it. I could dig a
right?
Adam West style Batman game. You know what's funny though? In the Lego Batman 3 game, in the Lego Marvel games, there was always Rescue Stan Lee in certain stages. In the Lego Batman 3 game, it's Rescue Adam West. Adam West would be in a stage.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
I think they could do a Lego. I mean, they did do like a little thing in Lego Batman where there was like a level where you could play as the 60s Batman, the Adam West Batman. But
right.
Like it was like a little expansion you could buy. But doing a full-on game like that might be neat. Yeah, I could see them doing that. Somebody should make a video game trilogy based on the Demolition Man with the third game ending where the movie starts. Okay. An online connection, though? Well, I can't promise anything, Isashi, because who knows how these companies operate. Yeah, a wonderful single-player game that requires an online connection. like Sony's games that they're porting to PC makes you sign into PSN. That happened with me with the Diablo 2 remake on the Switch. It forced me to sign into Blizzard to play it, and it was taking forever. And I realized I just bought a lemon here. This is a lemon. I should not have bought this game. Now to talk about Silent Hill.
Yeah, you've been poking at this one for about a week now. So
it's getting late, so I don't know how much time I want to spend on this. But yeah,
we have 2 articles related to this. So.
Silent Hill fans aren't so silent about new character models. Here's the character from the original game. Let me go ahead and bring the article up. Let's see here. The remake of Silent Hill 2 is coming this October. However, after last night's state of play,
looks like an awesome character that I would love to play in a horror action adventure.
Well, you
game.
didn't play as her. She was like an NPC, I guess I should say, non-play.
Oh yeah, that looks like a character I want to interact with and talk to.
Here's the thing. This just looks normal to me, right? This is a design.
Yeah.
And the people in Silent Hill always looked slightly creepy. I don't know what it was about. Not unattractive, but slightly creepy.
This one kind of looks creepy because of the lighting, sure.
Yeah. The remake of Silent Hill is coming this October. However, at last night's state of play in Silent Transmission, fans are being critical of the character models in Silent Hill 2. The gaming news website Kotaku did a great job rounding up the internet's reactions to the characters.
Kotaku doesn't do a good job of anything.
This is why I'm on The Escapist and not using a Kotaku article. James, Angela, and Maria, they do a good job of rattling people on YouTube and making them upset. First, the positives. Many gamers are in agreement that James looks much better than his initial reveal, though some believe he now looks too much like Resident Evil 4's Leon Kennedy. Yeah, that's a problem. But here are different people. Breaking, James Sunderland appears affable in Silent Hill 2. That's wonderful expression. Please stop. Why did they make James from Silent Hill 2 look like a guy doing a Party City cosplay of Leon Kennedy? So people are not liking his look, but I want to get to Marie. Next, we have the tragic character of Angela. People either use her designer or neutral about her. However, next user Sharon Miles puts out many bottom feeders are complaining about her looking fat or like a man. And I'm not sure if that's this person here, but let's see here. And the Silent Hill 2 remake, but the way people are talking about Angela's gross faces in Bluebird games. Generally, let's just get off this. Let me show you how they changed the characters. One of the characters in the original game. The characters. You don't play as her. I know Matt. Yeah, she was a side character. This is what she looks like in the remake. This is a big difference.
Yeah, she put on weight since the previous game.
It's not even like the eyebrows are off. It looks bizarre to me. And here's another character. She was supposed to be more of the seductive type, I think, in the game, because I think some of the characters appear to the main character game because this is based on something in his psyche of what he's seeing. This is how she looks like in the remake. Well, she looks like a 14-year-old trying to be an adult. I don't understand.
Here's the question you got to ask yourself: if this was real life, right, a movie, right, would you believe it was the same actor?
No.
Absolutely friggin' not.
And the thing is,
we're not even talking about just changing her. Go back to the blonde.
Yes.
Okay. We're not just talking about changing an outfit. Okay, like we were with Swing Blade or whatever that game was you were talking about last week. This is
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade.
They need to make a game based off of Sling Blade. You called it.
Right?
I want Sling Blade. I want Sling Blade the game now. This needs to happen. Okay,
this is, I put the idea in your head. Right?
You can have a whole thing about French fried potatoes. That could be a whole
right? This isn't just changing an outfit. I mean, this is a whole other thing. You've changed the outfit. You've changed the body type. You've changed the face. You've changed the apparent age of the character. This is not even the same person. And this is supposed to be an upgrade.
And I don't know what this is about. So this is from Park Place, that Park Place. I forgot to make notes for this one, but this is the next article if you want to post it.
I'll bring it.
In the trailer released as part of Sony's State of Play presentation, the May 30th, the character design of Angela is being criticized for making her face plumper and uglier. Ex-user Manga Lawyer posted, in my restless dreams I see that town of Silent Hill 2 modern cheeseburger remake. You promised me you'd take me there again someday with a side of fries and a milkshake, but that day never came. The crimson shit. I'm sorry, that is funny. I don't get this, and people are thinking too that this is because we have another Sweet Baby Inc. style company influencing what's going on here. Hold on, bear with me a minute.
And
folks.
that I would have to say that pretty much is there's only two options here. Either they did it intentionally, which means they're pushing their body positivity, can't have anyone pretty, gotta look, like the average person, agenda, or they're just fucking incompetent. There is no other option.
Look, I'm not a Silent Hill 2 expert. I do own the game. I actually, I told you, I got a PlayStation 2 from a friend who wanted it at his work, so he gave it to me as a Christmas present. So I ended up buying a lot of games I couldn't get on the GameCube, and I did get all three of the Silent Hill games on it. And I think I bought them right on time because they were starting to become rare at that point. But Silent Hill 2, my impression was, though, that the way the women look in it, this is like he's not a good guy, the main character you're playing as, but you don't know that as you start playing it. Like, he may have done some bad things in the real world. He may have murdered somebody, but the way some of the women look like when they're more sexual or sexualized, it was more like his projection of what he wanted. Like the whole, I don't know if you've seen the movie Silent Hill with the sexy nurses.
Yes.
Don't have heads. That's like part of his inner something wrong with him. It's the way the people look. It's supposed to be a reflection of something that's wrong with him. Which
again speaks specifically to the people working on this not even understanding the basic story that they're working on. This is the problem I see with so many, genres and games, and they don't even know what the story is.
The Virgin Silent Hill 2 remake versus the Giga Chad Resident Evil 4. A lot of people have been pleased with some of the Resident Evil remakes, like 2 and 4 that came out. This is a big deal. Unfortunately, it's Konami. I don't know who they farmed this out to. I think it's called Bloober Team. I don't know if they're from Sweden. I couldn't tell by the interviewers. But, of course, this was originally a Japanese-developed game back in the day. But apparently, they have a company called Hit Detection, which is like another Sweet Baby Inc. type, a sensitive consulting company for Silent Hill 2 remake, plus ESG Konami. Ever wonder why Maria looks so sanitized? Not spoiling the game, but it's over, bros. Pack your things. When they said modern audiences, they meant it. Yes, they had said clearly earlier on that they were trying to. Team assesses risk factors for depictions of characters from underrepresented groups, themes, and potential community reactions. This is from... that's from what their clients that are helping them with the storyline on this remake. So I just thought this was interesting that we have the Thing remake coming out, which is basically honoring the original game, trying to make it as good as they did. And I don't know why they couldn't have just given the original Silent Hill to that company. And they probably wouldn't have tampered with it in any bad way. They probably would have tried to preserve the intent of the original game. Instead, we're getting this game with, these odd-looking characters in it.
Very odd, yes.
I just don't know. Isn't the MC a straight white male? Of course he's guilty of something. Yes, well. But the impression I always got from the Silent Hill games, and I have said it before, I'm not an expert, was that their inspiration, their theme, because I used to argue video games all have themes, that their inspiration was horror novels versus B-horror movies, which was Resident Evil. This was more, I think, taking stuff off of like Stephen King style novels, or who's the guy that wrote Ghost Story?
Oh, I don't know.
Strauss or whatever. I don't know. The different horror novels, and like the street names were named after horror writers, which I thought was interesting in this series. Why are these companies wasting money on these consultants who don't do anything but ruin the game? Because this was a thing to do a few years ago. This is Konami. I've had a number of problems with Konami in recent years, especially since they seem to want. They were more interested in like the past decade in making slot machines than they were in making actual video games.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about Konami is, and I'm not joking, there was a time in my life where I considered Konami the greatest video game company on earth. I consider them even higher than Nintendo, higher than Sega, because the stuff they put out was that good. They never missed a beat. And now look at them. It's just how the mighty have fallen. So I'm not picking this up, not that I own a system that can play on anyway, but anything left to say on this though?
No, I
Will that
just
give you nightmares?
I keep for the wrong reasons. See, that's the thing.
But see, even the original character has a creepy look to her too, but it's not like this. This just looks goofy. It takes me out of it because just looks goofy. This is like someone you'd meet. Never mind. I'm just gonna.
And there is that element of how should the character look based on, that person's projection of them, right? I mean, and yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, from what I understand, the game developers from Capcom, they always base their females and leads on strong, beautiful women. It often makes it looks on real-life models. Yes, they do use real-life models for the women in the woman who played the President's daughter in the latest Resident Evil 4 remake. She's nice looking in real life too.
Right.
Naughty Dog is the opposite, at least with Last of Us 2, when they had the real-life model actress. They removed her curves for the real in-game character. I think she looks rather nice in real life, and they basically reduced the size of her assets, if you know what I mean.
They literally altered a real person's appearance.
Have a feeling must have a game when they try to bring in these consulting firms. I think the firms are an egg, not the chicken. Maybe. I don't know. My dog would make a cameo in every game.
Oh, then Fallout is your game.
Yes. Actually, Mamoru Oshii's dog would make a cameo in all of his movies. The guy that made Ghost in the Shell, the Japanese animator.
There you go.
His dog would always show up in his movies in some scene. You see the dog in the background. Like he'd be sniffing something on the street, in a cutaway or something,
Yep.
That's kind of interesting how, Hitchcock would have himself, but Mamoru Oshii had his dog show up everywhere. Okay. Well, I guess we have to talk a little bit about De Niro.
To nobody, yeah.
Robert De Niro loses award following Trump courthouse rant. Deleted scenes talked about this on
Good.
this,
Cancellation works both ways. Screw you, dumbass.
Robert De Niro no longer be receiving an award at the National Association of Broadcasters annual event following his rant outside the courthouse against former President Donald Trump. Just before the New York jury found Trump guilty. The NAB had planned to celebrate the 80-year-old actor on Tuesday with its Service to America Award at a ceremony in Washington, D.C., but instead has pulled the recognition because the group said it is proudly bipartisan, the Hill reported. While we strongly support the right of every American to exercise free speech and participate in civic engagement, it is clear that Mr. De Niro's recent high-profile activities will create a distraction from the philanthropic work that we were hoping to recognize. A spokesperson for the NAB wrote in a statement to maintain the focus on the service of the award winners. Mr. De Niro will no longer be attending the event. So,
yeah. I'm
not even sure why I do this. I'm starting to wonder, too, sometimes when these actors do these things, that they're being blackmailed about something. No proof, no evidence. It's a theory I have.
I think they really are unhinged, and they're so full of
that's possible, too.
Themselves and who they think they are. That's really what I believe. They really believe this crap. Because let's face it, we know enough dumbasses like this in real life. Yeah. That believe whatever echo chamber that they have their social media toe dipped in, and refuse to listen to anything like actual reason and critical thinking.
Yeah. As we see here, he's pointing to somebody at the crowd. He was getting into it with some people in the crowd too.
And therein is the other problem. You as soon as you're a celebrity and you're pointing your finger in an accusatory way, you're arguing with fans, you're already cutting off a huge segment of your support. Yeah. And honestly, I know he's a wealthy man. I hope he's got it all put away and it's all FU money and he doesn't need it anymore. Because honestly, people are going to stop seeing his movies now.
He's lost movies due to his wife's business ventures. I know that much. He was heard arguing with her about it. That's why he keeps doing some of these atrocious movies like Dirty Grandpa, which was an awful movie.
Yeah, and his career is effectively over. So if he doesn't have enough money to coast on now, he's screwed.
I mean, he is all. I mean, yeah.
And I'm going to say that of all these kind of celebutards.
Things are This isn't helping anything. it's grandstanding. That's why I'm wondering if somebody put him up to it for some by doing something.
Oh, I'm sure that somebody in the current administration probably came to him and said, "Look, you've been a supporter of ours. Would you be willing to?" And they didn't have to twist his arm for it.
Well,
I'd be honored, Mr. President. Absolutely. We got to save democracy by removing people's choice.
yeah. All right, here we go. Hostel TV series starring Paul Giamatti in the works.
Yeah, I don't know
Cricket.
anything about Hostel, so
Okay. You thought Saw was torture porn. I'm just okay. Hostel is coming to television. Paul Giamatti had closed the deal to star in a Hostel TV series with the franchise's Eli Roth, Chris Briggs, and Mike Fleece, all returning for the project from the 5th season, the studio behind Apple TV's Severance. The Hostel show, which is currently in development and does not yet have a platform attached to it, is described as a modern adaptation and an elevated thriller that's also a reinvention of the Ford franchise that launched in 2006 and spawned 2 sequels. So I don't know if it will be as gritty and gory as the movie from what they're saying here. Roth and Briggs will pen the script, with the former set to direct. Roth, Briggs, and Fleece will all executive produce the series. The original movie revolved around 3 backpackers who were headed to a Slovak city that promised to meet their hedonistic expectations with no idea of the hell that awaited them. Giamatti will star in a key role with characters' details under wraps. The casting brings the Oscar-nominated star of The Holdovers into Roth's orbit since the duo first met during production on the first Hostel film. Eli was shooting Hostel in Prague, and I was shooting The Illusionist, and I met him. We talked about me actually killing somebody in that movie, but it never panned out. Giamatti told EW in the 2013 issue. Okay, here's the plot of the Hostel movie. In Hostel, this organization in Eastern Europe will kidnap, and this is based, I think, on an urban legend from Thailand. Okay, that this happened in Thailand. They set this in Eastern Europe instead, and that this organization will kidnap tourists, and then certain people will be able to pay for the privilege of torturing and murdering these tourists for fun. That's the plot of the movie, and apparently the Americans were the most sought after because they. I think this movie, in some ways, was trading on the idea of the ugly American. Do you understand?
yes, exactly.
Like how maybe we're not respectful when we go into foreign countries, and so the people in these countries kind of like the Americans will get the biggest money, to kill them. But I don't know. It would be interesting if this were to take that concept, the ugly American, and do it with like some of these idiot prankster YouTubers like Logan Paul and things like that go over to countries and are disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might be an interesting take on it. I don't know what the plot is for this series, though. But, yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what to make of this. You have no opinion, I take it.
I don't. From what you described to me, it makes me think of did you see the movie Euro Trip?
No.
I'm gonna have to do a Monday night at the movies Euro Trip. There's this great bit where one of the, it's about 4 kids.
It was National Lampoons, right?
It's kind of I don't remember if it was National Lampoons.
Did it have the actress that played Dawn on Buffy?
Yes, Michelle Tackenberg. Yeah.
Yes.
Where she takes off her sweater to
Really?
flash the cars coming, but she's wearing a bikini top and they just drive right by, and she's like, what? And he's like, you're in a country where they have topless girls in orange juice commercials on regular television. She's like, but I think I have nice boobs or something like that. It's like,
that's funny.
But no, there was this one of the kids, one of the guys in the group wanted to go to I don't know, a house of ill repute type thing, and whatever, and he didn't realize what he was getting into, and it was this full on dominatrix thing, and he's finds himself strapped down, and Lucy Lawless is the madam, and she says here is your safe word, and it's this long Swedish word that no one can pronounce, and he's like, I can't remember, and then she has these big muscular guys come in and start beating the crap out of him, and he's trying to figure out what his safe word is, and he can't say it. Yeah,
maybe I do need to check this out. We'll see. Was she in her Xena warrior princess outfit during the scene? That's what I'm wondering.
No, and I'm not entirely certain whether or not they were trying to, like, wink and a nudge to that. But she is very good in that scene and very, very funny. It's
Oh no.
yeah.
I now have this thought put in my head that there were probably dominant matrices dressed as Xena beating up wealthy
That-
businessmen.
That would.
I'm sure this probably happened. This probably happened.
I'm sure I guess there's something for everyone, right?
Yeah.
There's an internet rule about that, I'm sure. But there we go.
Yeah, more Paramount nonsense. Okay, Paramount leaders outline standalone plan including layoffs, with no word on Skydance deal.
Yeah, I find this whole article kind of humorous. Let's get through it. I got a thing or two to say about this.
Okay. You posted the link?
I just did, yeah.
I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, good for you. All right, let's read this. At shareholders meeting, trio of Office of the CEO execs present strategy to cut costs, drive growth, and improve balance sheet. Investors in Paramount Global are waiting for word on whether the latest merger offer from Skydance Media is a go. But they didn't get any updates to the annual media conglomerate's awkwardly timed annual shareholders meeting Tuesday. Sherry Redstone, Paramount Global's chair and controlling shareholder, in her introductory remarks at the virtual shareholders meeting, did not mention the pending Skydance offer. Instead, she touted the company's content assets and leadership across CBS, Paramount Pictures, and its cable networks, and turned the floor over to the three members of the Office of the CEO, who took over at the end of April for the ousted Bob Bakish. CBS's George Cheeks, Paramount Pictures' Brian Robbins, and Chris McCarthy, head of the Showtime MTV Entertainment Studios. While we recognize this is not a traditional management structure, Redstone said, the three in a box leadership team is intended to help the company take quick action and drive a turnaround in Paramount's financial results. The overarching goal for Paramount, Redstone said, is driving value for our shareholders. Do you believe that statement?
Well, yeah, here's my take on it. And honestly, it hasn't changed since the last time we talked about Paramount. I said this before. Paramount is worthless. And the way they keep trying to hold out for what they think they're worth is laughable. And that's why there is no word on the Skydance deal, because Skydance is saying, yeah, you guys are nuts. We are interested in some of your properties, but we're not interested in most of your properties. This is the only reason we are buying you. If you don't come down in price, screw you. We don't need you.
Cheeks, Robbins, and McCarthy presented their shared vision for Paramount Global, as Redstone put it, and the trio spoke at the shareholder meeting as if the company will not have a new owner in the near future. The execs stretched out initiatives to reduce costs to be consistent with industry standards per Redstone, as well as drive revenue and profitability. The new strategy included job cuts that will result in leaner and more nimble company. According to Cheeks, Paramount's execs already identified $500 million in annual cost savings. He said layoffs will target duplicative teams?
Duplicative, yes.
Never mind.
Duplicative.
Whatever. Teams and functions across the organization, real estate, marketing, and other corporations' overhead categories. They use words like duplicative to make me realize they're not a shit company. See how smart we are? We used the Oxford Thesaurus this afternoon. We're going to make you lots of money. With the Beverly Hills Cop movie that everyone wants to see in the theater. Oh no, wait! It's coming exclusively to Netflix, so it's not even coming to Paramount Plus. It's a Netflix
I like Curtis Selby's take on it. Duplicitous is more like it. Yeah, exactly.
I almost wanted to say that. To be clear, $500 million in cost savings is just the beginning. Cheeks said, saying Paramount Global will provide more detail on the company's Q2 earnings call in August. The company also scoped out certain assets that can. What are you selling?
Yeah.
We all agree that Paramount is not where we want it to be. Among other things, he touted the new growth trajectory of Paramount Plus, detailing being the last major media company to launch into streaming. I'm sure we'll get 5 full seasons of Starfleet Academy. I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because okay, on the streaming front, Paramount Global is working on exploring options, both subscription, video on demand players, and leading technology Oh, come on, man. Paramount's just merging with Paramount Plus with Universal Peacocks in some way. Yeah, because you're nothing on your own. You finally merged Showtime with it, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
Prior to the meeting Q&A portion, they were trying to sell Showtime as a separate streaming service. Did you know that for the longest time?
Yep.
I think they finally merged it. Prior to the meeting Q&A portion, McCarthy briefly alluded to the Skydance offer without mentioning it by name, but we cannot comment on speculation on a particular M&A event. At Paramount's online shareholder meeting, which lists that just under 45 minutes, Class A stock owners voted on several matters, including the re-election of 6 directors to its board. So, okay, let's keep going through this. For the record, Paramount Class A shareholders. I don't know why. I should have looked this over. One director candidate taken off Tuesday's ballot was Backish, who was ousted as CEO and the board on April 30th after reportedly clashed with Redstone over his opposition to a deal with Skydance. He was replaced with 3 executive officer of the CEO. So they got rid of him because he didn't want Paramount to merge.
Yeah.
Okay. The meeting kicked off with a Scissorell Paramount program, including a clip of SpongeBob SquarePants exclaiming, "I am so excited, I think I'm going to explode. I think I'm going to explode." What do you think is going to explode? Do you think subscription numbers for Paramount Plus? All your base are belong to us. They just should have said that. You're right. I don't understand Paramount. What are you understanding about this article?
Like I said, it is.
It sounds like word salad, and layoffs coming.
It
and
absolutely
content,
is. It is.
We don't know what we're doing with content.
It is a weak spin job to cover the fact that Paramount is worthless and trying to sell. That's what it is. Sherry Redstone should be ashamed of her family legacy.
And why do they keep giving money to these Star Trek series?
Because it's all they got.
But they're very expensive.
Yes.
From what I've heard too.
And they are not, how do you call it? They are not well curated. You know, they have killed the golden goose.
What are the DVD sales for the Discovery seasons? I can't get ratings on this crap, but how are the DVDs doing?
I have no idea. I
People
haven't
buy the
paid any
DVDs.
attention.
No they do release these things on DVD. I will give them points for that. They do release physical versions of their series, so I will give Paramount that. But I'm curious, is there an audience?
Well, they didn't really have a choice, did they? They weren't making any money, so they had to do something.
Are they doing anything with SpongeBob? Are there DVDs of Star Trek Discovery? I see them in the public library all the time. I'm assuming that they release them unless they're library exclusive. Jeremy Renner, I did like this article. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Jeremy Renner, do you have anything left to say about Paramount?
No.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
No, I don't care about Paramount anymore.
Their Tulsa King was good.
Yeah.
Of course, someone was trying to sabotage that from the inside, it seemed. Jeremy
Which
Renner,
is another reason why Paramount is worthless.
Yeah. The Star Trek IP was worth more in 2008 with no shows on television and as no new movies, and that's pathetic. Well, it has shows. It just has shows. I don't know if anybody's watching it. It's Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy Renner opens up about his refusal to return to Mission Impossible Fallout. Actors take note. Certain actors whose name begins with Mark and ends in Hamill should have taken note of this. After starring in 2 Mission Impossible films, 2011's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and 2015's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Jeremy Renner is speaking out about his refusal to return for his 3rd film in the franchise. Interview with the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Renner told host Josh Horowitz it was too big of a time commitment because his daughter was so young then. He couldn't be away filming that long. But he noted his interest in when he learned he was slated to film 1 week so that his character, IMF agent William Brandt, could be killed off. I remember they tried to bring me overseas for a week so they could kill my character, and I was like, no, you don't get to do that. You're not going to drag me over there and just kill my character. Like, get out of here, Renner said. If you're going to do this and you're going to use my character, you're going to do it right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why more actors don't do this. I
Well,
want the script up front. How are you treating Luke Skywalker? Instead of
exactly.
basically
And I have,
kowtowing and saying, oh, yes.
yeah, and I have, and I have said this for so long. I have talked about this in terms of the business world. You know, you always hear about the gender pay gap and this and that, and a lot of people come back and go, well, it's because you're not negotiating. You know, if you're not getting, better raise or you don't like your salary, then you need to negotiate. And just statistically speaking, men negotiate better than women. It could be a cultural thing. I'm almost certain it is.
Well, then explain
But by
my
the
family.
same token,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but by the same token, this is true in Hollywood too. You need to take responsibility for your career, the choices you make, the roles you take. And this is as true for men as it is for women. But you hear a lot of women, well, I had to show my boobs or I had to do those scenes in order to, get the roles that I wanted. Okay, you made your choices, right? And then you see someone like Jeremy Renner saying, no, I will not do that, And again, I think this is more cultural than it is gender, because I think there's a lot of soy boys out there that would not be doing this too. They're well, okay, at least it's work.
Yeah. The corporate rat has final say, not the actor. Once the actor is signed on for a movie and signed the contract, maybe. But no, when you're being offered a part, you can say what's going to happen to my character, and you get it in writing.
See, this is the problem. We don't know what's in these contracts. And people speculate all the time, but the fact is, you sign a contract, and if you sign a contract that signs away your rights going forward, there are rights of refusal. And you could say, no, I'm not signing that without a right of refusal. I am not going to just blanket accept whatever you put into a role for me.
It's stupid.
And I would then turn to my manager, my agent, and say, why do I need to say this? You should be saying this. What am I hiring you for?
I thought that Renner was originally put in the Mission Impossible movies to sort of take over Ethan Hunt at some point.
I think that was the intent.
But then they didn't end up doing that. But that was okay because they had him come back for another Mission Impossible movie where he was just helping Ethan. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah,
you could have these two leading men and have them doing different things in the movie and not kill them off.
Yeah.
Stop killing off characters I like. It's pissing me off.
Well, the big problem is when you turn it into the show is called Mission Impossible, not the Ethan Hunt film. This is the same problem we were talking about with Indiana Jones, with James Bond, with Mad Max, right? You figure out your franchise. If it's all about one character, well, it's all about one character. If it's about, a franchise, then don't fixate on one actor, one character. Start diversifying that so that you can do spin-offs, so that you can continue it going when you got to get rid of an actor, whatever you need to do. Mission Impossible should have been planning out, how do we continue this if we have to continue without Tom Cruise?
Now,
and that's even if Tom Cruise is still involved as a producer and he doesn't want to act the character anymore.
And I think that, well, plus you could always eventually have Ethan Hunt in like a supervisory role later on if Tom Cruise gets sold.
Yeah, maybe he becomes the guy behind the desk that gives the role to Jeremy Renner or whatever. Or the job to Jeremy Renner or whatever.
But what I basically wanted to say, though, is I will say this for the later Mission Impossible movies, they do give the side characters, this team, more screen time now. It's not just all about Ethan Hunt. I mean, he's still the main guy.
Well, and I'd like to think that that's because they're thinking through the possibilities of spin-offs and things and whatnot. And the future of the franchise.
I remember seeing Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and thinking, isn't it great that I got a decent James Bond movie this year? It was a joke. We usually used to get James Bond movies at Christmas time, and then they had the MGM strike, and we didn't get anything after the second Craig movie. So I was very happy to watch this movie. Yeah. And Brad Bird directed this movie. And why on earth Lucasfilm didn't look at Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and hire Brad Bird to do all three of the Star Wars sequel movies? He's the one who should have been put on them. He proved he had live action directing chops with Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. He had a history with Lucasfilm and a history with Disney. It should have been easy. just
That's
to put him in
because
charge of that sequel trilogy.
That's because
Ridiculous.
these high-priced, executives in charge of these studios are not earning their paychecks. They're not paying any friggin' attention.
Jeremy Renner was supposed to take over Tom Cruise, and it was time we wanted to kill Renner's character off because he wasn't ready to be replaced. And he saw it. Well, that's fine, and as long as Tom Cruise wants to keep playing Ethan Hunt, I don't think they have to kill him off. But you also don't have to kill off Renner's character. I told you Renner was in that spin-off Bourne movie too, where he didn't have Jason Bourne. I have a strange feeling that writers and directors have these contracts to make movies, but they're still being made to make movies that they're not a fan of and they don't want. But they have to. Well, I know what happens all the time, but the history of Hollywood's littered with movies like that.
But he goes on to say, in order to make the movies they want to make. Well, how has that worked out for Jon Favreau? That was the argument that Jon Favreau was going through the motions with Star Wars in order to get to do the things that he wanted to do. How has that worked out for him?
I feel like the movies he wanted to make, he did earlier in his career before he started doing the more commercial stuff. Like
I'm telling you, these people need to say F you to the studios and go start making independent films. This is the future of entertainment.
Yeah. Well, you think? All right. Are we at the last article yet? Yes.
Yes, we are.
And not a death. Maybe we should put this on the beginning in remembrance. But
it's
Pat's,
kind of an in remembrance, but he's the one doing the in remembrance of himself in a way.
Pat Sajak bids farewell to Wheel of Fortune. I haven't watched Wheel of Fortune in ages. It was all just a game at first to Pat Sajak, but then it became something much more meaningful. The longtime Wheel of Fortune host's final episode, heading the game show, airs in just a few hours, and then the production was released. First look preview ahead of its broadcast, in which Sajak expresses gratitude to its audience. I have a few thanks and acknowledgments before I go, and I want to start with all of you watching out there. Sajak begins in the footage addressing the camera on the Wheel of Fortune set. It's been an incredible privilege to be invited into millions of homes night after night, decade after decade, and I always felt that this privilege came from responsibility to keep this daily half hour a safe place for family fun. No social issues, no politics, nothing embarrassing, I hope, just a game, but gradually became more than that. Wow, class act, I'll say that right there. Sajak announced his retirement as host because he's old school.
Yep.
Let's be honest here. I remember all the boys in the 80s, the grade school kids, like during the period where you're supposed to think girls have cooties, all of us, we all had a crush on Vanna White. I remember that.
I remember the Playboy spread, yeah.
I didn't know that existed. Okay. I'll have to do some research on that issue just for the cover, not for anything inside. I won't.
Oh, of course.
Sajak announced his retirement as host of Wheel of Fortune last spring, sharing that his 41st season with the series would be his final spin. He first hosted the series in 1981 for its daytime edition before moving to nighttime duties. In 1983, though, his long-term Sajak has won the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Game Show Host 3 times. Ryan Seacrest will take over as host this fall. No.
Oh, God.
Isn't that the American Idol guy?
Yeah, I think so. He used to do maybe he still does do the New Year's Eve thing.
He did. He does the New Year's thing. You know, I've had a lot of bad things to say about Simon Collier's, but I remember one time Ryan Seacrest says, "Will it be fame and fortune for our contestants, or paper or plastic?" And then Simon Cowell, kind of gave him a scowl and said, "Listen to me. Just because someone doesn't meet the performance singing doesn't mean they're going to end up being losers in life. Not that there's anything wrong with telling people about paper or plastic." He says, you're already screwing. They can be good at other things.
Yeah.
He basically called him out on that. And
I'll tell you what, when Simon Cowell, the one who's supposed to be the hard-nosed one, is the one saying that, that's saying something.
And to those of you cashiers out there, we've all been cashiers at one point in our lives, probably, and it's not a fun job. So I'll tell you what,
I still will not go to the self-checkout.
Yes.
I figure I want someone to actually pick up, scan. If there's a problem with my price, to take care of it. I decide I don't want it, take it, back, whatever. I want that, and I want you to get paid for it, I don't
Right.
want your job being outsourced to a machine. And I'll tell you what, if they're pleasant, that could make my whole shopping experience.
Jesse Corrado, who? Are you talking about who Pat Sajak is? Oh,
He may never have watched Wheel of Fortune.
He never
really,
watched.
that's really all. Let me tell you something, though. He's retiring, right? Is basically what he's doing.
Yes.
77 years old. Look at the man. He looks amazing for 77. He looks amazing for 55, 60. Holy
it's
crap.
genes. It's the genes. Some people are
Well,
blessed with
I
the
guess
genes.
it doesn't hurt that he's got a young wife either. I mean, she's, she probably keeps him young. Let me tell
Dana,
you.
pick me a letter. I wish I looked that good now. Yeah.
I'll tell you what though. Look up Vanna White too. She still looks great too.
No, I know Pat is his
She's
replacement.
67 years old,
who
and
Ryan
she still
Seacrest
looks
is.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, Ryan Seacrest. Yeah, I'm just, he bugged me. He was like the side host on American Idol. Never watched game shows. I used to watch this when I was a kid, not regularly, but Wheel of Fortune was always fun. You would try to guess along. The idea is you would, as an audience member, you see the contestant, and then you try to guess along with them. And it was like you were part of the game show. So it was like a community thing, and it was they were fun. People win prizes. There's a worse way to spend your 7:30. I think what was it? Was Wheel of Fortune 7 to 7:30, and then it was Jeopardy, if my memory serves.
I think so.
You had the evening
God,
news.
I hadn't thought of that in years.
You
That's
could have done a good
memory.
old days on this, I suppose. But yeah, you said the evening.
Almost.
You said the evening news, and that would probably be like what 6 to 7, and then you would have maybe it's different in Chicago, and then at 7 to 8 you would have the game shows, and it was usually Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune.
Uh-huh.
And I used to watch Jeopardy a bit. I think I watched more Jeopardy than I did Wheel of Fortune. But yeah, it's a good game show. Clean, fun for the whole family. You did good work, Pat. Wish you well in your retirement, and have a good one. All right. Nothing but good things to say. Just his farewell was classy enough. So good on him. Unlike certain other people who are approaching old age that we talked about before.
There you go.
But there we have Geeky Geezers tonight. I'm hoping to have more geek-related news next time. Hollywood, get your shit together, please.
No kidding.
Because,
no kidding.
I mean, I guess I could talk about the comic book industry. I can talk about
All we got to do is play that little bit that I did on Kelly Sue DeConnick. If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved. 2 years later, we're really concerned about the comic book industry. It's contracting.
Of course it is.
Gee, wonder why.
Gaming is hit and miss right now. And then what else is there? TV?
Not really. Nobody's really watching TV anymore.
I guess
We've talked about that in terms of marketing. We used to see movies being having TV spots. So there's a whole marketing area for movies that aren't happening because no one's watching TV. So there doesn't need to be any TV spots to advertise for movies.
There were Shogun, which the left was complaining wasn't diverse enough.
Yeah, Jesus.
It has a mostly Asian cast. It takes place in Japan.
Shocking,
And it even had Latino characters in there too, because there was a guy who was a Spaniard working for the Portuguese, so he's the character on the show because it's based on history of who was in Japan at the time, and then there was an Englishman and a Dutch guy on there. I don't understand this.
Definitely check out the Metatron's videos about that. He's done a lot of great ones, and then he got into that whole video game thing with the Black Shogun and the
right.
Did
he say the new Shogun series is accurate? Did he say they did a good job with the actors?
Oh yeah, he said they did a great job. In fact, he pointed out
I need to finish watching it.
He pointed out some deep dive things that I didn't even know about that he was like, not only is this plausible, he goes, this is very likely. And there are little details I never would have thought about. Things like the color of the robes that the priests wore or something like that. I'm like, wow, the guy really knows his stuff, let's be honest.
The only good comic book that came out was Godzilla King Kong versus DC. Oh my goodness, that might be worth checking out. you imagine Superman versus Godzilla?
I can imagine it.
Who would win that fight?
Here's the problem with that, though. It's kind of like going back to the beginning of Godzilla versus Kong, right? Like who wins that? It's more or the Rocky versus Dolph Lundgren's character.
Yeah.
You know, you always have that. How do you play this? Depending on the audience, depending on you know, I mean. Even they did the same thing with Freddy versus Jason. They ended up, basically making that a draw so as not to tick off one side or the other as far as the fans go.
Justice League would tackle this sort of question on the Justice League cartoon series. Like, how would they go up against different things from pulp and science fiction? Like the pilot of Justice League basically was basically a War of the Worlds. There were even these tripod type machines, right? And you got to see how Superman faced against a tripod. And guess what? Got his ass kicked.
Yeah,
that's how powerful the tripods were.
Well, and here's just there's there's a lot of YouTubers that will do these kinds of. There's a great one out there that uses, I think, Unreal Engine to do the Hulk from the movie The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton and Christopher Reeve's Superman fighting, and it's a multi-part thing. It looks really, really good, and it kind of causes you to wonder, well, where would Clark's head be on this? You know, is he, well, we got to protect, I don't know, Tokyo, Metropolis, whatever city is being attacked, but do I have a right to kill this creature? Things like that, you know? And
they approached that with Superman versus Aliens, didn't they? Because they did a Superman versus Aliens comic, the Aliens from Aliens, remember?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and they approached that because I think he realized that the aliens are actually sentient.
Yep.
They actually have minds. And he's like,
that was actually a great Elseworld. If you guys can find that, check it out. Superman Aliens, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like Batman versus Predator. This was Superman versus Aliens, yeah.
That was a good one, too. Yeah.
They've done some good crossovers over the years.
There's there's a YouTuber that did Batman versus Predator, like a
live action movie?
film. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, it's late. We've gone over time, and you guys have to gear up for deleted scenes.
Yes, I will be. Deleted Scenes is doing another charity night. He has invited me back as a co-host. So nice. I hope you guys can stop by and finish out your weekend in about 20 minutes over on Deleted Scenes channel for The Other Side of Midnight. There's the link right there.
And then Monday, what do we have? We have
Monday is going to be Tomato Twofer. We will be watching Fried Green Tomatoes, followed by Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. On my channel, Last Call.
That movies need more theme songs.
I know, right? Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Like Flash Gordon had a theme song. This is the problem. Movies don't have theme songs.
I know. That's the problem. That's what I said
Shaft
about
had a theme song. They need to bring the theme song back. That's the problem.
Every time you would hear that song on the radio, then you would start thinking about the movie.
I want to go see the movie. Yes, they need to get back to that.
Oh, Sin's going to be there too. I was afraid that every time I was there, Sin wouldn't be there anymore because I think I creeped her out the last one. I got a little bit blue the last time we were on together.
Yeah, I got to get a good night's sleep tonight because I might be serving lunch tomorrow. Long story, tell you another time.
Okay. Tuesday, I hope you will join me and Agent Boomer and Netters Network over on Deleted Scenes channel for Live from Sparkwood and 21. And in about 15 minutes, I'm going to touch base with Deleted Scenes about exactly what we're going to be doing. But we're still in that in-between space before we get into, in a week or two, we'll definitely be watching Fire Walk with Me, but
I'll talk about The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I'll do that. That'll be my contribution.
That would be that would be a
I'll
great
do a little bit
intro.
from the interview, and I'll show little clips from the game. Not clips, maybe some screenshots of the game, so you
Sounds good.
have an idea of what's going on there. Deleted scenes is all right with that. Yeah. All right.
And I think I know where we're going with the rest of the stream, but I want to double check with the deleted scenes first. So, Twin Peaks, live from Sparkwood in 21, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday. Thursday, over on Netter's Network, we will be interviewing Obnoxious and Anonymous. Another, well, his channel is pretty much dedicated to Twin Peaks, so to say he's a Twin Peaks superfan would be an understatement. That's at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netter's Network on Thursday.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was looking at Geek Flag with Nate.
Just give us season 3. No. You're lucky I'm not stretching this out 25 years, you
Listen
bastard.
to me. I already said deleted scenes. We're going to do all 6 seasons of Northern Exposure before we get to season 3.
See?
I'm
So
just kidding.
don't push it, Nate. We could make it much worse.
I'll say this. Maybe. Well, it'll be up to you and deleted scenes to decide. Let's not wait too long. We have to get the Fire Walk with Me too soon too.
Yes,
that's coming up. All right.
Yes, exactly. And then Friday night, last call, is a celebration stream. I am a YouTube partner now, not just a YouTube indentured servant. So you can come celebrate with me. I will be sending out StreamYard links to a lot of channels that have really been very helpful in getting me to where I am. And if they want to jump on, hang out with us, that'd be great. But if you want to stop by and just give me a little tuppence, what do you call it? Super chat just to say hi and celebrate with me, that'd be great. You don't have to do that, but just because it's fun to light up and see all the pretty colors in the chat.
It'll be a fun night. We'll have fun.
And I will. You better believe I'll be drinking. It's a celebration, right? What's the point of it if we're not celebrating?
Yes.
But and then Saturday, Big Al presents Films with Friends, Gumball Rally, a film that I have not seen, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay.
Yep.
And then brings us back to Sunday for Deleted Scenes Unscripted.
Yep.
And then we'll be
Geeky
back with
Geezers.
Geeky Geezers, which I don't know what we'll be talking about next week, but I got to find some better. I don't know, man. It's just Hollywood. Instead of making me angry and outraging me like you used to, you're starting to bore me.
Yeah.
And that's a bad sign. And that's what's going on. We were talking about Star Wars earlier. This is what's going on. People are
Definitely.
getting bored.
Definitely.
All right. Catch you all next time. Have a good week. Check out Deleted Scenes channel. Gonna have a good panel on tonight, sounds like. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.